Coming to you from the former United States of America, from deep in the heart of Texas, it's Alex Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, the world is in the middle of an epic struggle that is heated up to white-hot levels between individual citizens and nation-states and against a global government establishing a worldwide tyranny that it calls a technocracy. They admit they are authoritarian, and the whole Davos meeting is kicking off as we speak. George Soros says the EU is on the verge of breakdown. Oh my gosh, I've been telling people that for at least 6 years, saying it would happen in the next decade. And our guests have been saying it for at least 6 years, including former high-level directors of operations inside the CIA, like Steve Pieczenik has told you. Oh, but see, you get the news of 6 years from now today. Oh, but George Soros is telling me now. It's on Infowars.com. And again, it's not bragging. They're trying to shut us down. They're saying we're fake news everywhere. I don't like having to sit here and say, oh, look, we told you this 6 years ago. Oh, look, we told you this 10 years ago. Oh, look, we told you this 15 years ago. Oh, look, 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 oh, look. But we're under attack because we're on target. I know you know more than I do about all this stuff. That's why you've got to get out there and speak out, because the war just kicked into high gear. They're launching their counteroffensives. Things are getting crazy. By the way, Trump did deliver yesterday. He did have his fake news awards, but he didn't do it in a video format. He did it by putting out a press release. I know the argument is, you're presidential, sir, you can't stoop to this level. That's why they're trying to keep him from fireside chats. No. Roosevelt would go on and say what people were saying about him, you know, that was true or not true. So this is what the president needs to do. The idea that it's authoritarian, the idea that it is evil for the president to punch back when they lie about him, is authoritarian, is Stalinistic, like Jeff Flake has been out spouting and putting out. DrudgeReport.com has linked to Infowars.com with the results of the 2017 Fake News Awards, because we had the most extensive, thanks to the great work of Adon Salazar, Kit Daniels, and the rest of the amazing crew. And we're going to also add to that our own boil down of the award shows and the video graphic you just saw us rolling that shows the awards in order. So when we come back, we're going to do that. We're going to go through the awards here. And then I said that we would announce the winners of our People's Choice Award. Those of you that nominated, the person that ended up matching up basically with the president gets $2,000. The person that matched up the second one gets $1,000, and then a set of steak knives. And folks are going to get mad because we took like 100 calls or more. A lot of people said the same things. So we're just picking who was the most cogent, most focused, and got it out there. You were all great. It was amazing calls. We didn't get it announced last night because we were still waiting until 7 o'clock or whatever for the president to put out the fake news awards. He's got a lot on his plate. You can tell production-wise they didn't have time to do TV, so they put out the press release that we've added to, and added some video and other graphs and things to on Infowars.com, Newswars.com, and DrudgeReport.com. Has it right there, easy to find on the left-hand side. I'm going to retweet, though, the winner of the 2017 Fake News Awards from the president. We're going to put that out again on Twitter right now at Real Alex Jones to make it easy for you to find. Stay with us. We're going to go through these announcements coming up and so much more. There's been, well, just wait till the big news when we come back. Ladies and gentlemen, last night I saw reports on ZeroHedge.com and on DrudgeReport.com reporting that the FBI is investigating the Clinton Foundation and millions that was improperly handled out of just the Australian sector. Billions and billions was given. So I ferreted in to the information that had been released by the FBI, and it just hit me this morning. So we have an article that Dr. Jerome Corsi's written for Infowars.com. We have a tendency here in the real media to kind of downplay big things. But when they're big, you need to play them up because they're big. We saw 3 weeks ago the criminal investigation reopened under a new group, not a bunch of Clinton appointees and Clinton sycophants and minions and toadies and butt boys. Okay? So that's a new criminal investigation. Got almost no coverage, including here. We mentioned it, talked about it, boom, moved on. Then another criminal investigation got announced a couple of weeks ago into Uranium One. New indictments of the very people connected to the Clintons and to the deal. They're now following down the FBI original investigation and the informants and the people that did a great job at the Bureau who were stopped by Mueller and then Comey subsequently. That's all on record. So that's a second criminal investigation that's been opened. New criminal investigation because the last two were spiked. And then the other big one. They reopened the criminal investigation into the secret server. The foundation, which is the money laundering, the secret service, that's the Dropbox, the secret server in her bathroom, the Dropbox, the database, her parallel government. She was co-president with Obama. The Democrats admit that. So you've got the secret server in the bathroom. You've got the money laundering in the foundation, paper play, and then you've got Uranium One. That's the trifecta. 3 criminal investigations of Hillary Rodham Clinton and William Jefferson Clinton. But he's only on the hook so far for the foundation. She's in there for Uranium One and the other. And he was involved in Uranium One as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, the story is on Infowars.com. It is extremely, 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 extremely important. And I hope that everybody gets it out. Now, again, we might even change this headline because it gets into criminal investigation open into the Clintons' paper play. And that's basically what all 3 of these get into, and they all intersect together. But the real headline here is 3 new criminal investigations have been opened into the Clintons' criminal activity and their crime syndicate. That's the takeaway. That's the news hiding in plain view that I guess mainstream media hadn't made a big deal about it, so even Infowars doesn't. Because a lot of times we kind of ourselves kind of toady along behind them, you know. Whatever their big story is, we kind of give our 2 cents on it or punditry. That's not what made Infowars great. That's not what made us change the world. It's not what made you change the world. It's going out and doing original reporting, or a government document gets released by the Pentagon admitting Obama's plans to put Americans in FEMA camps. Well, a lot of folks didn't cover it because it sounded crazy, but it was real. We broke it. They had to admit it was real. But no one wanted to touch it because it sounded so crazy. Well, if what the enemy's doing is crazy, if what the globalist is doing is crazy, then we have to report it whether or not the media attacks us, because it's our job when we learned in 2006 that Samsung and Google and all these platforms were using hidden cameras and microphones, both hidden and in plain view, to watch and listen to you, and they were selling the data. So what if we got attacked for being crazy to push that out there first? Now it's ubiquitous. They admitted, and they were doing it back then, just like we told you, because we had their internal engineering documents. And then later, their own internal, but not secret, investor shareholder reports. Shareholders, we're doing quite good in 2006. We're patented and we're rolling out system-wide with people that have Google enabled on their dashboards, and we're watching and listening to them and selling the data to third parties. Plain black and white. They didn't deny it. So I'm going to explain to the Washington Times. It has an article out almost every 2 days attacking yours truly, and I think they do a lot of good work, but they've got some people embedded in there that are bad news. Knowing a lot of establishment Republicans and people and, don't want to be on the fringe like InfoWars or Breitbart or whatever. But Breitbart's trying to be more establishment. We don't want to be establishment. That means we repeat old news, watered down off teleprompters. That's not what we do here. You don't change the world chasing somebody else's story. You change the world like Matt Drudge did, getting the intel, mainstream media had it, they didn't want to run with it, he put it out, so they were forced to report it. And that's really what InfoWars' main job is. You don't think the Secret Service hadn't gone to the Wall Street Journal and hadn't gone to others and said Hillary's having convulsions every 45 minutes and has a black ambulance. They all went to the media, none of them would touch it. So they came to us and said, just follow her around. She's got a medical tent. She's falling down every 45 minutes. We don't know what it is. We're not giving you medical information, but we don't know. I know through our sources, his brain tumor was removed back in 2013. Took her over a year to recover. And she's got serious brain tumors, okay? But, again, we went out, we caught her, Millie Weaver and Gavin Wentz caught her collapsing in a tent, but didn't get it on video. She was inside the tent for an hour. Emergency stretchers going in. But hey, a week later, on September 11th, she fell like a ton of bricks, symbolically. Because they helped protect and shield al-Qaeda and a lot more. And the media cut it off when she fell down and said she only stumbled and that we lied. But it didn't matter. You could go see it for yourself as well. So it's our job really to keep clips like this in the future where they try to remove them off the web and say, no, here it is, and re-upload it. That's your job. It's my job. It's our job to go, no, you said Obamacare would be free. Here's where you said it. Or you said the doctor, you can keep it. It's our job at every level to just document reality, put it out there many times without even editorializing on it so that reality can stand there in the annals. We are here to keep libraries of information. We are here to keep it on hard drives. We are here because they want the World Wide Web to be nothing but a giant grid. They want the World Wide Web to be nothing but a huge cloud where they all have your data so they can go in and erase whatever they want en masse. Google can hit one button, and in a matter of minutes, every Alex Jones video with my voice print on the internet would be removed, or they can even just block out what I've said in a matter of minutes. They can hit one button, and everything I've ever done on Google's erased. Everything. That's the control they've got. And they're now launching the algorithms. And they can do it to me. They can do it to you. So we're in a real war here. They're trying to make us obsolete. They're trying to make us totally domesticated. And that's why knowing how to farm and knowing how to garden and knowing how to machine shop and knowing how to gunsmith and knowing how to skin a buck and run a trot line and knowing how to be a good person and knowing how to work hard and knowing how to communicate and knowing how to have community. That's the secret, is the resurgence of a world based on building a good future for humanity, not one where the globalists have decided we're a fungus that has to be removed so they can have more parkland for themselves. Because that decision's been made, and Elon Musk and many others are now warning you exactly as I told you. And they're now being attacked. Because if you aren't anti-human and you're just a sane person who doesn't want to kill everybody, you're the bad guys. So, when we come back, Trump did announce the awards. We've got them from his Twitter, the video. He didn't present it as video, but there's a video presentation. We're going to show on the other side and give out his awards. We're going to mesh that with our three, top awards for listeners that nominated things that matched up with Trump. We're back live, ladies and gentlemen, broadcasting worldwide. I am your host, Alex Jones. And, of course, first year, Trump philosophy, salvage. Next year, lay waste to the criminals and the malcontents and the slobs and the globalists and the backstabbers and the double dealers. Sooner or later, going to cut you down. You can go on for a long time. Go on for a long time, but sooner or later, going to cut you down. And so Trump, with a full plate, did deliver the 2017 Fake News Awards that he picked. And he put out a press release that drudgereport.com decided to link to our posting of it because it has some graphics and videos and things that are added. So right now, we're going to go over the president's video graphic presentation. It wasn't the president in person doing it, but they put together some nice awards that for TV viewers, I'll be able to see. Radio listeners, I will now describe those. Trump announces 2017 fake news award winners. And a lot of folks would start, at number 10 or number 11 and count down. We're not doing that. We're just going to take you right to the kingpin. The New York Times' Paul Krugman claimed on the day of President Trump's historic landslide victory that the economy would never recover. And he said 3.0 growth was impossible. It's now on its way to 3.3. It's at 3.3, set to hit 7 to 10 within 1 year. So absolute, total, and complete turnaround. Number one, Paul Krugman saying that you would never bring the economy back. And, I think I'm the only person yesterday during that 4-hour transmission that I did that said that the fake news saying that he'd never bring the economy back and that he'd never get over a 3% growth rate. Who would have thought? See, Trump cares most about delivering to you, and that means putting money in your pocket and have good jobs and a good future. Because you got to have a job to feel good and to not just sit there on welfare and be a ruined person. You look at the animals that get domesticated, out in parks, you feed them. They're obese, they're mentally ill, they're hateful, they're absolutely, out of control, whether it's monkeys or squirrels. Well, look what it does to people. So, another curveball from the Trumpster in the Trump dimension, where he goes with the economy about you, betting you'd fail. No, we had one caller that said Trump bet on America. They said we'd fail, but Trump bet on America, and we had brought the economy back. We had one caller, and what was his name or her name? It was a man. So we're choosing who's winning now from the people's choice that lines up with Trump's. I think that's the best way to judge it. So, Paul Krugman says markets will never recover from Trump. Dow hits record high, 26,000. I think right there, that is absolutely on target. Not just the Russia gate, because that's all fake about Trump. Not other things, but the economy, stupid. Wow, that's smart. So, number two, ABC News, Brian Ross chokes. Now, I thought this would be number one or number two. And sends markets in a downward spiral with false report. ABC demotes Brian Ross after he lied and said that basically, well, we've got Joy Behar celebrating it. Can we cue that video up maybe? Where she goes into convulsions of unabandoned, delicious glee. We've got the word. He worked with the Russians. Trump lied. And then Morning Joe, they're all going to prison now. They're all going to prison. Here, let's play her one more time. Here's Joy Behar putting out the fake news from Mr. Ross.
Welcome back to the show.
Breaking news.
Oh, my God. Oh, breaking news. ABC News' Brian Ross is reporting Michael Flynn promised full cooperation to the Mueller team and is prepared to testify that as a candidate, Donald Trump directed him to make contact with the Russians. Yeah!
Yay, he's a traitor. We can screw up the economy and stop the recovery. Yay, we're going to F the country over. Woo! With a big lie. None of it's true. Turn those sea hags off. Thank you. So continuing, CNN falsely reported that candidate Donald Trump and his son Donald J. Trump had access to hacked documents from WikiLeaks. Totally fake. They were months-old documents. And I was the first, by the way, because I just have a memory. I'm not bragging. To go, right when that all broke, we were on the air when that broke. And I was like, wait a minute. That's not true. Those documents were out. They were being doled out for months before, but those particular ones almost 3 weeks before. So again, WikiLeaks provided the president's son the secret code key to release WikiLeaks. BS, baloney, Bravo Sierra. And like our listeners were saying, CNN with all of its crap hole comments, I did coin it. I'm glad Hannity's gone with it. He may not even know we coined it here. But I said, CNN is the S-bleep hole network. And I said, and they run the chicken bleep dimension, the chicken S-H-T. And I said, see, they're allowed to cuss, but we're not because the regulators won't touch them. They're God. you see. I don't even want to cuss, but the fact is we should be able to if they can. It's not fair. But they are now known as the SH-T network. That's a really good name for them. And that's what comes out of the mouth of all of them. When they get on the show and they go, I'm a proud holder. I'm a proud holder. And that's Phil Mudd's new name is Phil Holler Mudd. I guess that's why his last name's Mudd. Who would have known it? I guess it translates into pile of steaming, you know what? Excuse me. That's what they're talking about here. CNN falsely reported candidate Donald Trump and his son, Jr., had access to hacked documents from WikiLeaks. More Boulder Dash. Number 5, we'll get to that in a minute. Number 4, Time falsely reported that President Trump removed a bust of Martin Luther King Jr. from the Oval Office. So that was a good one. And they were in the room with it. There was even video of it in the room. And again, that's the same CNN people that said that Trump didn't really visit Scalise. Remember that? Number 5, Washington Post falsely reported the president's massive sold-out rally in Pensacola, Florida was empty. Dishonest reporters showed pictures of empty arena hours before crowds started pouring in. They did that on the inauguration day, too. New York Times guilty of large screw-up on climate change story. And it just goes on and on and on. We're going to... I think they skipped a page on this, Murphy's Law. But there's no need to fear. I have a backup right here. So let's move on to number 6 now here, ladies and gentlemen. Number 5, Washington Post falsely reported that president's massive sold-out rally in Pensacola, Florida was empty. Dishonest reporter showed it hours before people had been let in. Number 6, CNN falsely edited a video to make it appear president really defiantly dumped the fish into the koi pond despite doing it incrementally like the Japanese leader did. But in truth, he copied the Japanese leader with total precision. We'll be back with the rest. Michael Snyder. I feel like I know this guy for 20 years. He's been on so many times via Skype, running for Congress, involved in all sorts of political systems and education, the economiccollapseblog.com, michaelsnyderforcongress.com. We're going to talk about 2018. Really, if you think 2016 was key, 2017 was amazing. 2018 is to infinity and beyond. This is sudden death overtime and not in a football game for the future of the republic and the world. There is not a more critical year than 2018, not just in my analysis, but countless others. We'll talk about that with Michael Snyder here in just a moment and get his take on it. But first, finishing up, if you just tuned in, I went a little bit over and didn't finish up going over the president's choice of fake news awards, the worst fake news in 2017. And he did release a press release yesterday. The media had said that he wasn't, that he was choking, that there was no fake news. So how could he possibly have that? And of course, he chose, Michael, so I'm going to kind of go back through these and hit the last few. Paul Krugman, as the economist of the New York Times, saying you'll never get above 3%. You'll never get to 3%. You'll never get the tax cuts. You'll never get any of it. America's done. We're going into a depression. And all the other big pundits said it. And now the stock market's at 26,000. We're at 3.3 growth rate. Most economists say we're going to hit 7 in the next year or so if this continues. The globalists are in total panic mode. And I'm glad Trump didn't choose fake Russiagate, even though all the callers and even I thought that's where he'd go. A few callers got it right. They said, look, we turned the economy around. Trump did that. He was the leader in that. And so that's number 1. And boy, doesn't that rub it in Paul Krugman's face.
Absolutely, Alex. And you know what? Before Trump came in, we had not had a year of 3% growth since the middle of the Bush administration. You know, Barack Obama, he was the only president in U.S. history never to have a single year of 3% growth. And he had 2 terms to try to get it done. And so President Trump is turning things around. We got tax reform through, lowered the corporate tax rate on par with the rest of the world, which was so key. And just today, I picked up a newspaper on my way up from the hotel, and Apple's bringing the production. They're bringing facilities back to the United States. They're going to be paying some taxes, and that's because of Trump. If Hillary had gotten in, no telling what would have happened.
And admittedly, Trump has reportedly called Cook more than 20 times and said, man, be nice to America. Bring some stuff back, dude. Why are you out to get the country? You got hundreds of factories in China. Bring something here, bro.
Yeah, and we need to start bringing manufacturing back to China because since 2001, more than 70,000 manufacturing facilities have left this country, millions of good-paying jobs. Now Trump is turning it around. He's starting to bring manufacturing back. Companies like Apple are coming back. So Trump is starting to turn it around, but the mainstream media won't get off his back.
Also, we have the lowest black unemployment ever recorded since the Bureau of Labor Statistics was set up, more than 60 years ago.
Yeah, and yet the whole African American community is being trained to hate Trump, but Trump is bringing prosperity to everyone, including the African American community. And so, Trump knows what he's doing. And so we need to get behind him. We need to support. We need to be proud of this president.
Absolutely. So, again, that was number one. Just going back through some of these. ABC News, Brian Ross saying, oh, Flynn admits he's a Russian. He met with them. They were in the campaign. Trump's a liar. They're all going to prison. We've got that. Brian Ross, ABC. CNN falsely says that WikiLeaks, gave them the secret code and that Trump released the WikiLeaks. I mean, again, most of this was released months before, a lot of it weeks before. Everyone was given the key. The key was put out online. I mean, if you want to get down to brass tacks, Paul Watson was usually there in it first, and the key was public and ferreting it out. And they'd say, they're Russians. What, because I can go read WikiLeaks? Like Putin has to tell me, like Maxine Waters, she said, Putin tells him to say the swamp and tells him to say lock her up. Like Trump couldn't think of that on his own. Putin calls him and goes, listen, say drain the swamp, say lock her up, okay? I mean, those are like 100-year-old terms and stuff, but, Putin said it.
Yeah, meanwhile, Alex, the mainstream media is completely ignoring all the evidence of Hillary Clinton's crimes where when she was Secretary of State, the people she had one-on-one meetings with, Alex, more than 50% of them donated to the Clinton Foundation. Now, I don't know any sales field where you can get that kind of closing rate, but more than 50% of the people she sat down with one-on-one donated to the Clinton Foundation. Massive corruption. Well,
a lot of the emails read like, yeah, give us the 100,000, we'll send her your email. Okay, we got the 100,000. You ready for the meeting? We need $1 million.
Yeah.
Wow. 100 grand just to talk to her and say, will you meet? And then $1 million, $2, $3 million. I mean, this is incredible. Let's continue. Time falsely reported that President Trump removed a bust of Martin Luther King. They go into the meeting. All the reporters are there. People are standing in front of it. Other videos show it's there. The person's in the room with it lying, saying it's not there because they're being encouraged to. They're not doing this on accident.
They aren't. And the whole agenda is to say Donald Trump is a racist. We hear this on CNBC. We hear it on CNN. They're openly calling Donald Trump a racist. Donald Trump is not a racist. And,
the people trying to keep everybody poor and under their thumb, they're the anti-humans.
Absolutely.
The globalist people farming us all. I don't care what color you are, trying to keep us in poverty and keep us on welfare, keep us desperate so we can't, stand on our own 2 feet. Number 5, Washington Post falsely reported the president's massive sold-out rally in Pensacola had no one there because they showed photos again before it opened. Well, why didn't he do that for the inauguration? I was sure he'd do the inauguration. I was there when they wouldn't let us get in for hours, the Antifa and Black Lives Matter. And then again, they would show shots when they first opened the gates and said, look, nobody's there. I mean, think of the media that will lie that directly to you. Meanwhile, can you guys pull up how you did it last time? I don't know. But the CNN photo from behind the president of the sea of people. You can see me standing there, too. It's crazy. It's so HD. I'm down like in the 5th row or whatever. And boom, you can see all the way back miles and miles, solid people. And then juxtaposed, CNN shows you at high noon, no one was there.
It's insane, Alex. But, the mainstream media, they're not going to let up on Trump because they want him out. It's kind of like a foreign entity has invaded the system. They desperately want to eject it. And that's why, we need to get Trump some backup because, they're going to keep lying. They're going to keep lying. And they call us fake news. On the fake news list, my websites have been on there. Your websites have been on there because they hate us. They hate the American people. The elite want to continue to rule, but we're not going to let that happen.
And CNN did it, BBC did it, where they would say, here it is at noon, no one's there. But then their own HD photos show the thing backed up for miles.
Yeah, and so many people that we know personally came out from Idaho, came out to the inauguration. They told us it was packed, it was overflowing, but it doesn't fit the narrative.
No. We weren't there. There was no one there. You weren't there. I wasn't there. We're all liars. Let's continue here. CNN says so. Let's go on to the ones I haven't gotten to yet. CNN falsely edited a video. That's number 6. To make it appear President Trump defiantly overfed fish during a visit with Japan's prime minister, Japanese prime minister, actually led the way. You get them up. Everybody does. You do the same thing here. If you got a tank in your backyard, you feed the fish. Kids come over. You go out with fish food. You throw a little to get them there. and then you throw the whole thing in. I mean, the Japanese do it the same as us rednecks here in Texas. What do you know?
Oh, it's absolutely. But every little thing Trump does, they're on it, and they want to focus on it, make a real huge deal out of it. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton can have a trail of bodies going all the way back to Arkansas in the 1980s, and they totally ignore it.
That's right. Let's move on to number 7, because we already got to the number 1 saying our economy wouldn't come back. CNN falsely reported about Anthony Scaramucci's meeting with Russia, but retracted it due to a significant breakdown in process. Number 8, Newsweek falsely reported that Polish First Lady did not shake President Trump's hand. Another total lie. There's video of that. CNN falsely reported that former FBI Director James Comey would dispute President Trump's claim that he was told he was under investigation. Then Comey did not, because the president recorded him. Number 10, the New York Times falsely claimed on the front page that Trump administration had hidden a climate report. And, of course, they later admit it wasn't true. Number 11, but not least, Russia collusion. Russia collusion is perhaps the greatest hoax perpetrated on the American people. There is no collusion, and it's all been proven. And I like how he took what we all thought would be first, Russian collusion, stuck it last, and said, look, that's all a bunch of bull. We know it. Let's celebrate our victory, the economy coming back, the industry coming back, but they're going to try to steal it in 2018. 2018 is everything. You've got a shot at winning in Idaho. We're going to talk about it with Michael Snyder, not just about his run, as a family man and an educator and a patriot. We show you his website with he and his wife and great family. But we've got to win all across this country, because they showed us in Alabama. They're going to use fake polls, fake news, and they're going to have people come and vote the names of dead people. So election fraud is the enemy. We'll talk about it with Michael Snyder straight ahead. We are back live, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Alex Jones. Michael Snyder, what a great, prolific writer, researcher, educator, involved in a lot of great political campaigns as well, now running for Congress, the economiccollapseblog.com. We carry almost all of his great work at Infowars.com. He's in studio with us, and I'm very honored that out of all the big coverage of President Trump's fake news awards last night, that Matt Drudge thought our coverage was the best at drudgereport.com, and on the left-hand side is linked to us where you can see the president's coverage. And we're going to take the last 2 segments that we just did, post them to YouTube and Facebook, and post that in the article. So there's now a video element of the president's awards. But we've gone through those areas now. I want to shift gears into campaigns 2018. Again, Michael, we know it's in the WikiLeaks, but we knew this before. Jean Podesta says we got to go out 2 years ahead of the campaign, start financing all the major pollsters like we've never done, to oversample Democrats, not just the normal 9 points, but 20, 30 points. Will dominate up front in the primaries and in the general. We cannot be stopped. Well, they were stopped, okay? But with more, they kept saying 15, 20 points, 10 points behind. He lost by half a point, and we know that was dead people voting. So, boom, we know their strategy. Fraud to the core.
Yeah, absolutely. And they want to steal 2018, too. And 2018 is so key. If you're concerned about the future of the Trump movement, you got to get involved in 2018 races all over the nation. Now,
look how real this is. We have to fight really hard now because this is real. It's not perfect, but it's real.
Yeah, and they want to take out Trump so he doesn't even get to 2020. But we're not going to let that happen. We're going to get Trump some friends in Congress.
That's key. If they get the House or Senate impeachment.
They're going to go full bore for impeachment. The Democrats have already said
we got to watch his back. He's delivering to us. We got to watch his back.
Yeah. And Alex, we want to focus on the races around the country where we can win. For right now, 90% of the races, we know who's going to win, Republican or Democrat. But there's some races around the country, and my race is one of them, where it's completely wide open. Now, in my district in Idaho, the 1st Congressional District, at this point, 2/3 of the voters are completely undecided with 4 months to go until the primary. The rest of the vote is split up. Very, very tight race. We're trending up. We can win this thing. Right now, it says the voter, in terms of voter identification, candidate name recognition, is below 15% for every single person in this race. Unprecedented. If we get to 30% voter identification, name recognition, we're going to win this thing. So we need everyone out there to get involved, to donate, to go to michaelsnyderforcongress.com, to go on Facebook, our official Facebook campaign page, spread ourselves anyway. Because if you want to abolish the Federal Reserve, if you want to abolish the income tax, if you want medical marijuana, if you want to shut down the Big Brother spying, get involved in our campaign, because I'm just not representing Idaho, but we're representing liberty, freedom. We're going to be like a Ron Paul when we go to Washington.
That's it. Imagine you up there. I mean, you're very eloquent, very well read, super smart, a family guy. Get a bunch of Michael Snyders in there, you'll be like 20 people, because the bully pulpit, you will be annihilating them on the news shows. You'll be annihilating them on C-SPAN. You'll be whistleblowing on everything. You'll be backing the president when he's right, sending him signals when he's wrong. Notice every time Kelly comes out and says, oh, he's not going to build the wall, Trump goes, I didn't say that. That's not true. He is surrounded by people that do not have his back.
Yeah, we're going to build that wall. And in fact, any person running for Congress that doesn't want to build the wall should not be running for Congress. So I'm very proud to say I'm 100% pro-Trump. I love Donald Trump. I want to be Donald Trump's best friend in Congress. And no one's really taken up that mantle so far. Look, no one wants that title.
The Great Wall of China wasn't perfect, but it stopped the Mongol and Hun invasions 9 times out of 10. Okay, and the wall around the Vatican, the rest of Rome got taken over by the Muslims for a while, not inside the Vatican because they had 200-foot walls. So what Kelly is doing is trying to moderate, to look like the president's moderating. He thinks he's helping because they're not going to build it across rivers. And so it's not going to be in the middle of desert zones where there's a mountain range that's a natural wall and you can't get there. They're going to put a fence up or something. I mean, obviously, but where there's ridges come together and you've got a valley and there's people coming across and that's a spot, no, there's going to be a wall there. And then they go, oh, he didn't build it 100%. The point is we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and we've got to do something about illegal immigration because for years we've left the back door completely wide open. Meanwhile, the front door, legal immigration, is super complicated, takes forever, incredibly expensive. I actually helped someone through that process.
That's been done by the Democrats on purpose.
Yeah, but meanwhile, we leave the back door completely wide open for drug dealers, for gang members, for lawbreakers, for Islamic terrorists. Whoever wants to come in, the back door is completely wide open. We need to shut the back door with a physical barrier so everyone that's coming into this country is coming through the front door.
Absolutely.
We're not anti-immigrant because Donald Trump's wife is a legal immigrant.
Well, that's another thing that the fake right wing does just to score points. And I'm not against Ann Coulter, but she just gets cheap shots all the time. Or she says things like, the Japanese ought to be happy Fukushima happened because radiation's good for you. And that's a real quote. She says things like, Trump's going to sell us out on DACA, and he screwed us over because he said, no DACA. He said not that version of DACA where you bring all these unvetted people in. But, of course, if you've lived here 20 years and were here when you were a kid and you're a good member of society, we'll get you a sped-up path to citizenship. That's what he said back in the campaign. The media misrepresented what he said.
Absolutely. And Donald Trump has been very generous with the Democrats saying, okay, hey, if you want to do a deal on DACA, okay, give me money for part of the wall. He didn't even ask for the whole wall, just for part of the wall. And the Democrats are saying no. And now we're facing this government shutdown again, Alex. And the Democrats are spoiled brats. They know that if they just stand firm and demand everything and say, okay, Republicans, give us everything and DACA too, that eventually they'll fold. And because the Republicans in Congress are spineless, they don't stand up for anything. They've been compromising for so long and the Democrats, they know if they just have a backbone, the Republicans will just give up.
That's right, and that's why they had Bannon not only bring in the wolves in sheep's clothing, we all got fooled, then he's basically been kind of running the other races, letting those get sabotaged, so then the media can say, oh, this whole libertarian populist insurrection in the Republican Party, it's been defeated by the Republican establishment. No, the Republican establishment's all retiring. They know it's over. This is the time for maximum effort. And the globalists are really trying to fight us on that. Let's talk about good news here. It's on Infowars.com. 3 new criminal investigations opened in the last 3 weeks by the Justice Department and FBI. So good for the FBI doing your job. Finally not being at the top literal Clinton minions, as the emails and text messages show, by the deputy director and all of them. 3 of them. We have got the whole Uranium One has now been criminally reopened. We have the illegal servers been reopened. And most important, the Clinton Foundation has finally been opened for money laundering. And the media is barely even reporting it. It's like, oh, they're looking at some money transfers to the foundation from Australia. No, 3 criminal investigations have, they would say, on the Saturday morning cartoons with the Super Friends, Aquaman summoned 3 giant whales. I mean, we have got 3 giant whales here that are real, not like Russiagate. These things are bona fide like a rack of baby back ribs. You can sink your teeth into these.
Yeah, this is the real news. And everywhere I go in Idaho, I'm saying we need to send Hillary Clinton to prison. And I'm not talking about nice country club prison. I'm talking about put her in an orange jumpsuit to hardcore federal prison for the rest of her life, along with Bill Clinton, along with James Comey, along with Huma Abedin, along with John Podesta especially. And so we need Republicans in Congress who are going to be proud to
remember Hillary? So why aren't you asking, why aren't I 50 points ahead? Are you guys hinting we ought to play that? Because for me, the biggest news of 2017 was that they kept saying that he didn't really win and that she did when she got caught stealing, 5, 6 states. They caught her trying to steal a bunch of other states. I mean, they caught her trying to steal the states.
Yeah, and Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton have a track record of crimes going all the way back to Arkansas in the 1980s. So massive corruption, but we've got to restore the rule of law.
And how good is it that we are, I love your excitement. People say, why are you so excited, Alex? I've seen you, in person here, you're relaxed. Because we're fighting criminals. The Clinton Crime Foundation is rocking on its last string. I mean, it is swinging in the wind, baby, and it's bing, 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 bing. The rope is super thin right now, and I'm just sitting here with a big old hacksaw, just, hey, folks, like a gremlin, help me saw this sucker, and bye-bye.
We're literally fighting for the future of this country, Alex. That's why we're so passionate, because we've got to restore the rule of law. Because our young people are looking at us today and they're saying, well, look, the top politicians, they don't have to follow the laws. They never get arrested. They never get prosecuted for anything, even though their crimes are open for all of us to see, but they never go to prison. So why don't we have a society where none of us get arrested, none of us get in trouble for anything, none of us get, and we'll see how that works out. No, we've got to restore the rule of law, because if we don't have the rule of law, we don't have anything.
Well said, Michael Schneider. You really need to be in Congress because, again, I've been reading your stuff for a decade, and it's just some of the best analysis out there. And you got the passion, you got everything, your great wife and family behind you. This is so exciting. And you were also telling me that you are dead heat right now. This is a wide open race in Idaho.
Yeah, it's super close. It's a razor-thin margin, and so we need everybody to get involved. Go to michaelsnyderforcongress.com, get involved. We need more volunteers.
And listen, we don't go get the voter rolls and vote the names of dead people. We go get real people to vote. That's how we win, fair and square. You're going to win if people get behind you. We're going to be back. Stay with us. By the way, I got so focused on the incredible stuff happening, I didn't even plug last hour. So keep us in mind, InfoWarsStore.com. We've got the new pollen block, amazing product. Proven in major studies that the Japanese quail eggs, when fed a secret diet, this is all patented. We got it from the main group that puts it out, but have got it concentrated, and now we've discounted it by private labeling it. Pollen block, seasonal discomfort support, really, really important. That is $17.76. It's a great deal at $34.95, but it's $17.76. It's 51% off, and we've already getting reviews on it because it was being sold for a couple of weeks before I actually started plugging it. But again, it's amazing. InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, or 888-253-3139, because it is you funding this operation that builds the platform for all the great people we have on here. And Trump personally thanked me in the audience, saying, without you, we were some of that critical energy to push it over the top. And so, again, that we're going to just keep fighting. You were getting into your daughter and the future and just how critical this is. People always say these are key midterms and this is a big election. Everybody knows. Globalism's in full battle with nationalism and sovereignty right now. Davos admits they're in trouble, but they're pulling out the stops. The communist Chinese are their muscle in the news. Reuters reports last year and this year they're pledging to stop America. I mean, the communist Chinese are in bed with Hollywood, in bed with the Democrats, and they're buying off the universities. That's in the news. And I'm not demonizing the Chinese people, but, I mean, it's not the Russians, folks. It's the Chinese. They are in our business.
Yeah, I was telling Alex during the break, I've got a 2-year-old daughter right now, and my wife and I hope to have more children. And what kind of world are they going to grow up in? We are literally in a battle for the future of this country, and we cannot afford to lose. Donald Trump getting into the White House was a miracle. It was the biggest miracle in American political history. And this is our window. If we want to take our country back, we've got to do it now. If we fail and then they get Trump out, it's over. It's over. We could lose America forever. So literally, globalism, national, we're fighting against the globalists, and they're on the march around the world, but we're on the march in America, and we're going to take America back. If it wasn't for you guys, Trump wouldn't be president. If it's not for you guys, I'm not going to get to Congress. Pro-Trump people around the country are not going to win in 2018. We've got to have you. We've got to win now, because if we wait till later, we're not going to have this chance again.
Very well said. What do you make of 3 criminal investigations open to the Clintons, and even alternative real media is hardly making a big deal about it? I mean, myself included. It's like, oh, the first new criminal investigation gets open back into Uranium One, and then into the server, and now into the foundation for money laundering. And I'm even myself like, oh, but it's not on Fox News. Our job is to push it out onto Fox News.
Yeah, and that's the role of the alternative media. That's why I've been writing the last 7 years. And in recent weeks, I've been talking so much about Hillary Clinton and her crimes, because this needs to be at the top of everything. The mainstream media is trying to ignore it because it doesn't fit their narrative.
And the Clintons have killed a lot of people, but they can't kill us all, and their comeuppance is here.
It is. And it would be a great day for America to see Hillary Clinton arrested and finally go to prison. It would be a great day for America, and we need to push it. We need to push it as hard as we can.
Absolutely. People say, oh, it'll turn her into a martyr. I just can't even say the name martyr with Hillary Clinton. No, it won't. It's justice. She's a wicked, evil, thieving witch that robbed Haiti of $2 billion, and her direct adjuncts got caught smuggling children out. This woman is the spawn of hell.
Yeah, you know what? There is all kinds of talk about human trafficking, about all the things that are going on. You know, if we don't fight this, it's going to get worse. It's going to get more hellish. It's going to become more of a nightmare. And what if they come after your child? What if they come after your young one? You know, we've got to stop it now. This is our shot. With Trump in the White House, we've got to do it.
Everybody get the article out. FBI opens 3 criminal investigations into the Clintons. There's 2 articles we've got on that. Crazy MSNBC host says conservatives favor nuclear war to kill Democrats and minorities. That's coming up. And Sean Hannity, one of his most powerful commentaries that we're going to analyze on the other side. And then Dr. Edward Group in studio to cover the news, the latest health information, and more. And then he hadn't been on in years because he's been so busy building this big lab, one of the top ones in the world. The return of the Health Ranger, Mike Adams in the 3rd hour. I'm Alex Jones. Spread those live links. So, the #1 winner in President Trump's fake news awards yesterday, we had the People's Choice Awards we're going to be announcing in the next few days. I've got to go over all the people that were nominees, all the people that came up with their points to really see who won, because in our list is not the man that said Trump helped bring back the economy. They said we never get above a 3% growth rate. He did it. He helped take the boot off America's neck. I also said that. I'm not going to give myself the award. But we predicted it was the economy. Well, that one caller did. They deserve first prize. Okay? A whole bunch of people, you know, said the Flynn thing, the Ross report from ABC News, and quite frankly, I thought it would be Russiagate, but see, Trump didn't want to make it all about their false reporting on him. He made it about their false reporting on not believing in you. That is just pure genius. So we're going to have to go back and watch at least the first 4 hours of yesterday's coverage, because 2 people called in, and it's the crew isn't bad. We took over 100 calls for not having it written down that they predicted it'd be the monetary return of America, and the media saying it couldn't happen. Because I just kind of agreed with the guy, if memory serves. But that person deserves the $2,000. Second place gets $1,000. Third place gets the steak knives. Because I could just kind of rubber stamp it and, you know, give it to folks that, got number 2 and number 3 and number 4 right. But that's not fair. So we're going to have to go watch that. Have to watch my own show. No, I'm joking. I actually don't like watching myself. But the point is, I love listening to the callers. So that's very exciting. You know, I normally have commentary on things when I play it for fair use, but I don't really know how I can add commentary to what Sean Hannity has come out and said, because it's so accurate. We're going to play that, and then I'm going to come back and play Tim Cook saying, hey, we're bringing Apple back to America because of the tax cut. It makes it now where we can come back here, because now it's the same as China's tax rate. Now, China just lowered to 0 to counter that, but it shows how we had these internal tariffs, basically tax tariffs on ourselves to sell our jobs out, which was the globalist plan. So that's coming up as well. But Hannity has come out and taken what the internet really started memeing over the weekend, and that CNN is the whole network, the whole network. We don't do like they do and violate the FCC stuff, but we don't like to be vulgar either, but sometimes we have to illustrate vulgarity by being vulgar. And so Hannity now on his big platform, the biggest on cable news and one of the biggest on talk radio, is helping us brand it. And I think the group collective deserves coining it. I do remember seeing it over the weekend, saying it myself, but a lot of others were saying it as well, that, hey, that the mouths of the reporters at CNN are holes, that everything that comes out of them is that. When Phil Mudd, that says he wants to kill the president, said he's a proud holer. I mean, I agree. He is a hole. Everything that comes out of his mouth is basically what he said he is. So finally, they're telling the truth. Maybe they can get an award for telling the truth, saying that they are that whole network. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. And he lays it all out and goes over the lies and the hysteria. And then what happened? Well, let's just go to the tape. Here it is.
So the president has heart disease. Those numbers qualify him for having heart disease, and it clearly needs a plan to try and prevent some sort of heart problem down the road.
Really? He's never examined the president. Now, we know that fake news, CNN, I have a new name in a second, and we know they hate the president, but really, they're going to predict a guy that's never examined the president that he's going to have a heart attack? Now, this type of behavior, it shouldn't be surprising, especially coming from what we're now calling, you see it right there, CNN, the whole network, or the whole fake news network. It fits. CNN somehow managed to say that word hundreds of times in 1 week alone. Here are just a few of the examples. I promise I played them all. I have too much news to cover tonight. But here's some. We'll put it on our website tomorrow.
What was your reaction when you heard the president call, African nations holes?
It's not clear what he meant by whole countries.
Are you shocked or surprised by this?
I'm not surprised. In one way, I'm proud. I am a proud holder.
No, we are not all created equal. At least not if you are born in, as the president put it, a whole country.
The word house instead of whole, as in house countries, not whole countries. I guess he's a holder. Is there a difference if the president said whole house?
Do you think these countries are holes?
Donald Trump has turned the Oval Office into a hole.
Holders built this country 110 years ago.
In addition to the president's comments yesterday, a few more.
Whole countries.
Whole
country. Rich, do you have any example of any whole country that the president referred to that is predominantly Caucasian? Holders. Holes. Holders. I work for holders. I'm proud to be a holder.
I never in a million years thought I would be saying hole on television.
Congratulations, CNN. You've done more than enough to earn your new nickname, the whole network, fake news network. Keep up the good work.
They really are desperate criminals that are aware that we're aware of them. And it's a great report. The full report's like 6.5 minutes long. It's on Infowars.com. Steve Watson wrote about it. You need to send it out to everybody you know, because this is a real grand slam that Hannity has put out. He reportedly writes his own 6-minute intros, and it's just all true. Video, Hannity dubs CNN the whole network. They're hypnotized, lobotomized robots. Oh, yeah, at the start, he lays out how they believe their own bull, and they keep saying that the president's super sick and mentally ill and has dementia and Alzheimer's. And so when the doctor comes out and says it isn't true, it's obviously not true, they all flip out. Here, let's go to some more of it.
All right, so the sick, the twisted, the mentally unstable anti-Trump media again working itself into a new manufactured frenzy. Now, we have been explaining how the biased press operates in this country for a while. Here's how it works. They rush from one fabricated meltdown to another, and in the process, these brain-dead so-called journalists, they bounce around the same talking points in their little fake news bubble echo chamber. And it becomes a competition to see, well, who can say the most outlandish, the most offensive, the most completely false thing about President Trump. It's like they're hypnotized, lobotomized robots. They're kind of programmed every wake up, hate Trump. It's really pathetic, and it's sad, and it's predictable, and they are not serving you, the American people. Now, members of the media, sadly, they're sheep, they're closed-minded. They have actually convinced themselves, this is the psychotic part, through their own conspiracy theories, that President Trump is, he's suffering from dementia. He has early onset Alzheimer's. He's deranged. Now, the newest fake news fixation is all about the president's health. You think he'd be happy? Now, naturally, after the president's doctor told them that he was in excellent, I repeat, excellent physical condition, and this shocked him, could easily serve for 2 full terms, the media could not believe it. It goes against everything they have all been telling themselves, hour after hour, day after day, week after week, month after month. The press, they can't stand the fact that the president scored a perfect 30 for 30 on a cognitive exam.
And they never know when to give up.
My guess is most of the people in the media world would probably fail that test.
Or Pelosi.
If they took it themselves. I'd love to test them. Now, before we show you new examples, it's important to highlight just how utterly insane the media was yesterday at the press conference with the president's doctor. Watch this.
Do you keep a tally of how much golf the U.S. president plays?
Some of the president's friends have told reporters in the past that they think he's a germaphobe, that he washes his hands obsessively and is concerned about that. Have you seen any indication of that type of behavior?
Does he watch too much TV?
I don't.
Sedentary lifestyle sort of
They're like a bunch of mentally ill goons.
Do you see any evidence of bone spurs, which the president said that he suffered from? Is he limited to one scoop of ice cream now? Do you have any concerns about the president's Twitter?
No, I don't. Yeah, Twitter doesn't involve me as a doctor. I don't have any concern on that.
Does the president wear dentures? You mentioned the dental exam.
The president has no partial or dentures of any kind.
You said he doesn't drink and he doesn't smoke, and other than the diet issue, did you address drug addiction?
Drug addiction?
I mean, any other drugs?
Yeah, no, he has no drug addiction.
All right, let's stop there. Reportedly, he doesn't even take aspirin. But by the way, notice what he's thrown down here as the gauntlet. They're the ones that wanted him to have the cognitive test. Now, I demand Pelosi, who can't even chew gum, can't even talk, or Maxine Waters or that other congressman that thinks that islands float. I demand all these lunatics be mentally tested now. Because let me tell you, they're all certifiable. We'll be back. Stay with us. Well, riding a shotgun with me for the next hour and 40 minutes or so is Dr. Edward Group, one of my good friends, great researcher, somebody that going back even a decade ago before I was even having him on the show, I would see things he was talking about and writing about that today is mainstream news. And so we're going to get into so many of these topics. I first remember hearing from you that diet soft drinks make you fat. Now that's mainstream news. Also heard it from Dr. Blaylock, a brain surgeon. And, you know, so many other issues. Of course, your dad was a famous chemist who helped create bisphenol A, and that's a whole other story. But we're winning on a lot of fronts, but we're also losing on a lot. So I want to get into some of those, and I wanted to recap something we haven't spent enough time on. Because I had a caller call in, I think it's Carlos from Canada, a few weeks ago, and talk about what true iodine does in the body and why the globalists try to keep us deficient. And people said, man, that was a powerful 3-minute call. Is that true? Well, absolutely. You're going to go over the literature, the history, mainstream news, 15-point IQ reductions in people that don't get enough iodine. The FDA keeps lowering the level you supposedly need. Then the bad halogens come in. We're going to get to all that in the next segment and a bunch of other news. And then return to Mike Adams. People say, where'd Mike Adams go a few years ago? The health ranger. He has spent so much time building a world-class laboratory with certifications that a lot of people don't even have, that he unplugged from a lot of media for a while. But he's back now. I didn't ask him to do it. He tested all of our products, and just like BuzzFeed did, and found they were all super clean. I said, well, you know what's going to happen. They're going to get tested again, and magically, and that happened. The Democrats don't give up. California standards, they said a few failed, and they've sued me. And that's been in the news. Well, I didn't even ask him to do it. He tested it with modern spectrometers, and lo and behold, shows what the first test showed. But, I mean, how do you even deal with this? That's a whole other subject. He wanted to get into that today. I want to get into the big sludge conspiracy, his big film coming out, Biosludge, and just, move on from that point. People know what's going on. They didn't buy into it, and we're going to win that deal. But it's just frightening when you realize the lengths that people will go to.
Yeah, no, it is. But the good news is things are changing, and we're starting to see those changes getting into the iodine we'll talk about later. But I'm glad to see Mike. Mike's done some incredible things over the last few years. He's been around a long time. Great guy, and really is one of those pioneers in, just like us, in changing the way people think, providing people with the information necessary to make good choices. And again, it's all about how healthy your mind is, how healthy your body is, how much do you take care of yourself on a regular basis, and waking the population up, which I think that we are seeing that tipping point coming close right now, Alex.
That was my next point. I want to ask you this, because I even have family that said to me, because they know about the behind-the-scenes stuff, I mean, even my own mother, and she's always been, hey, tell the truth, charge, action. She said, do you have to do everything? Do you have to be like literally pushing these people into a corner? You have a family. And I said, it's because I have family. I am pushing this hard. But even people in my family that have never never balked or like, whoa, because they've seen this stuff behind the scenes. It is unbelievable. But, you know, God's going to take us through this fiery furnace, or I'm going to be used as an example in this fight. I'm not lionizing myself. Think how much pressure Trump's under, the things you've gone through, how Mike Adams gets persecuted, the things that go on, we tell the truth. And that's what I wanted to say. I'm enthusiastic about Trump because he is delivering. And his biggest enemy is the fake conservatives that say, oh, he's going to screw us on DACA when he said, no, I'm not, and he didn't so far. Or he's not going to give us real tax cuts, and then he does. Or, you know, oh, he's not going to really have, you know, the fake news awards, and he does. And he's not a dictator, and he's gotten so much done that it makes my head spin, and I just think morally in this instant gratification culture, we should be more thankful. That's all I'm saying.
All I'm saying is, fast forward 50 to 100 years from now, when our grandkids are reading the history books and it talks about the revolution in health and the revolution of America that happened between, let's say, the year 2000 and 2050, or however long it takes to get these things changed. We can see that movement happening right now. And our grandchildren's grandchildren are reading the history books saying, what? They used to inject vaccines into people. They used to inject viruses into people. They used to poison the water of the people. They used to poison the air of the people. And then there's going to be a whole section in those history books. I mean, we are part of that revolution. We don't realize what we're doing right now and how important we really are in telling and getting this information out. This will be in the history books, and your grandchildren will be reading about it. And they will be talking about you, and they'll be talking about all of the players and all of the people that came together to change the world.
Your children and grandchildren won't have their genetics completely ruined, which we know generationally it's already pretty bad. And what changed the last 10 years? Because of Dr. Mercola and the listeners and all the other great people that are out there. What changed the last decade where CNN goes, okay, fluoride should be taken out of the water. It's causing brain cancer and bone cancer and lower IQ and lower fertility. I mean, that's Harvard studies. What changed where they now are, okay, diet drinks make you fat? I mean, they're suddenly coming out, okay, MSG eats your brain. Okay, Prozac makes you kill people. Okay, Ritalin, shrinks your kid's brain physically. I mean, suddenly they know they can't cover it up anymore.
There's something going on with the sterility plan, and I think it's backfiring on a lot of people because initially the plan was by taking the iodine out of foods, by incorporating and telling people to eat more cooked and processed and microwave foods, dead food, by adding all the chemicals and artificial sweeteners, by blanketing the earth with the endocrine disrupting chemicals and the pesticides and herbicides and the glyphosates and the GMO foods. A lot of that, 90% of it, has to do with making the world sterile. And a lot of that's not even going to come into play for 2 or 3 generations.
And there's thousands of white papers from all the globalists, from the former White House science czar, John P. Holdren, to all these people admitting that they're doing it. This is an admitted plan.
No, absolutely. There's nothing that we're saying up here that hasn't been in the mainstream media, hasn't been documented.
The German government wants to drug Germans in the water supply now with lithium to make them submit to Islam. You cannot make it up. That is in Der Spiegel.
No, you cannot make it up. But I think that one of the reasons why the mainstream media is coming out with some of these things is because those individuals that are involved are having problems with fertility. They're getting the autistic children. They believed in the game. It's a mental thing. So the people that do believe in vaccines and that think that it's okay to eat a bunch of garbage food and use glyphosate and all that, well, those high-level people, too, are having problems having kids. And even the people that control the world are still having problems with the whole fertility issue. And you're right. It is the children that we're trying to protect, especially looking at the studies that have been done on rats with artificial sweeteners and genetically modified foods, where by the 4th, 5th, or 6th generation, they're completely sterile and there's no more ability to get pregnant.
And there's the Washington Post admitting it's a sterilant and grows cancers. They knew when they approved it in the 70s, and they admit it is a bioweapon plan, a chemical weapon plan against humanity. Understand, folks, they admit it. They are putting hydrofluorosilicic acid in the water at one part 1.3 parts per million, to brain damage you and lower your fertility, they admit. And even though it's all admitted, they're keeping it in the water and sell baby water with it in the water, hiding the attack in plain view. We'll be back with this emergency transmission. Share those links. Warn your families. Warn everybody, or roll over and die. I'm Alex Jones. Dr. Edward Group is with us, and we're talking about history solved. I'm going to ask Dr. Group a critical question. Why suddenly is CNN, MSNBC, Harvard Medical, you name it, going, okay, hydrofluorosilicic acid, fluoride in the water is causing massive IQ reductions, cancer, dental fluorosis, brain cancer. We need to take it out. Okay, there is runoff making the frogs basically be infertile. Okay, sperm count is down 90%. Okay, glyphosate is making you infertile and giving you cancer. And Dr. Group confided in me privately, and he's done the research, and there's white papers on this, that they admit it's having unforeseen chain reactions in the environment, threatening to bring down the entire biosphere, that to use these weapons against us, the globalists, to depopulate through soft kill, they've caused a chain reaction, because you see them kind of now hedging their bets going, yeah, there is vaccine protection since 1984, 86 is when it went into full effect. Yeah, these companies are causing people to die. I mean, we're not saying you can't learn immunities. We don't believe in that. It's what are they putting in you? The same government's caught in all these secret tests giving black people syphilis. We know the H1N1 was a simulant. They put in a vaccine the year before that we got the next year. Everybody I know that gets the flu took the flu shot. I mean, it's incredible. So you were getting into something when we were talking before we went live on air, into why this is happening and what's going on behind it, and why history solved. We know their plan. It's in white papers, and now their plan's falling apart at every front. What's going to happen, and then what comes into that vacuum? Well, those of us that aren't eugenicists or technocrats, we better get involved and come into the vacuum, not to run things, but to culturally counter the globalists. So, Dr. Group, roll through this critical information for us.
Okay. Well, first of all, there's more information available to the general public, and there's more freedom fighters that are coming out, and what I like to call real news broadcasters, not the alternative media, but real news broadcasters like yourself and everybody else. Then there's the next generation of children that have watched their parents and their grandparents die, that are listening to this and that are putting a lot of pressure on these organizations. So first thing you have is you have the flow of information out there. So it's getting to the point where they just can't hide it anymore. Secondly, their original plan was to control the population, and they weren't thinking about the impact it was going to have on the atmosphere. They weren't thinking about the impact it was going to have on the earth. It was all about money, because the government was allowing Monsanto to move forward with their programs. They were allowing Dow AgriSciences, Syngenta, and the big chemical manufacturers and oil and gas producers to drill as much into the earth, to use chemicals on the earth, to spray chemicals in the air through the chemtrails. So even though the original plan was to poison the food and cause a slow death, because the pharmaceutical companies work in unison with the big agricultural companies, they work in unison with the oil and gas companies, and they all work together
in a multi-layered binary weapon delivery system.
Yes, but it's gotten out of control because of the money and because of different individuals that head up different departments or different companies that want to get rich. So what we've come to now is a massive chemical, biological nightmare.
Death orgy.
Which it's almost at the tipping point where it's too... That's why they're trying to control the weather. I mean, they put the HAARP systems in and have been controlling the weather as well to fix that into their spider web of all these different things that they're trying to do. But now,
by the way, the Department of Energy admits the Doppler systems aren't just for Doppler. They're using, Dubai has Doppler up to control the weather. They just admit it on their news. Here they just control it, and the general scientists and meteorologists don't even know it's just got that other function.
But people are waking up, and it's because they're starting to get healthy. The best and the fastest way that you can wake yourself up is to become healthy and to cleanse your body and detoxify and to not buy these things. And that is a trend that's been happening since the GMO movement, since the organic movement.
Well, it's just like bottled water. It's not perfect, but everybody knew, stop drinking the tap water. It's people instinctively are moving away. Because the globalists themselves always, they're into organic, they're into not taking vaccines. They're all the ones obsessed with this because they know. And I think they're now realizing they're never going to get out of the things they've done. They've been trapped again.
Clean water is more expensive by the gallon than gasoline is, and that's why you have the big corporations that are getting into water. They're buying up the land. Nestle is trying to take over our water supplies. Different countries are trying to take over the rights to the water. The government's now passing bills that says they can come in, and even if you own the land, they can, and you own the water rights on that land, that they can take that over and take it away from you. So going back to the whole control mechanism to control the air, to control the water, to control the food, and dumb people down and make people non-aggressive and be able to control the amount of fertility and the amount of babies that are being born through Planned Parenthood that you've talked about many times.
And they now admit in the family, don't let you say mother or father on an entrance form for your baby because that's hurtful. I mean, this is literally the end of our biological system.
You don't even have to classify your baby as a male or a female. That's the new thing now on the birth forms that they're trying to. And they're going to be so chemicalized that they're not going to be. So there'll be a whole ready-made group to say, look, to point at them and say, you've got to accept this. Kind of like they never want to find what's causing breast cancer to go up 3,000%, glyphosate and other things. They always want to make it about, oh, let's run for it. Let's raise money for those that are dying to find a cure or whatever, when they know full well what it is, but they put it into a process, you see. Oh, everybody's not going to be able to have babies anymore, so let's just be nice, and it's who we are now. That is a perfect statement, because the one thing that they do not want us ever to find out is the root cause. And that goes for everything, Alex. The government, why? What is the root cause of why the government has 30 trillion or more in debt? What is the root cause of the USDA allowing toxins to be sprayed on the meat? What is the root cause of the FDA?
Not just toxins, live viruses. They legalized it 12 years ago. Live viruses. A vaccine is sprayed on most meat.
That's right. Well, who's looking into, well, isn't the FDA supposed to be looking into the root cause? Isn't the USDA? I mean, they're taking our tax
money. And then we wonder
money.
why we have record gut problems. 50 years ago, maybe 1 out of 10 million had Crohn's. Now they're saying 1 out of a couple hundred. I mean, it's just exploding.
And this is one of the reasons why we're at a tipping point. This is how I know. Because the pharmaceutical companies right now are actively trying to buy all of the nutraceutical companies.
I know.
So they know that the people are demanding health. They know the people are getting away from pharmaceuticals. And it's been part of their plan for a while. So now they're in the process of buying all the nutraceutical companies. They just wanted to push the pharmaceuticals as long as they can, and then own the nutraceuticals when the people make that transition.
We'll be right back. Tomorrow's News Today. It's called the InfoWar. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back live. Dr. Edward Gribb's my guest. He's got tons of government documents, studies, mainstream media in front of him, getting into what's happening and going on. And again, how the globalists have all this fake environmentalism to cover up the fact that they're the ones involved in an attempted takeover the very genetic biosphere of the planet, and admitting it with all the genetic engineering pollution, the chimeras, the cross species. It goes on. And then we talk about how to fight back against it. Well, with very simple things. I haven't even plugged yet today. And there's supposed to be some in here. I guess I took it in my office. Take some of the X2 iodine with water at least once a day. Let's just specifically talk about iodine deficiency and the whole iodine conspiracy and how important that is.
Well, first of all, CNN just came out with an article saying demand for anti-radiation drug jumps after Trump's nuclear threat, and we've been getting calls too. So basically, apparently, after Trump's tweet, everybody's been stocking up on iodine all over the world, and most places are completely sold out of the potassium iodide tablets. Now, that's a good thing because it's raising awareness to the benefits.
I found it. Here it is. Sorry.
There it is. X2. That's the only iodine supplement in the world, ladies and gentlemen. I knew about iodine a long time ago and the effects of iodine because looking at, again, the root cause of what's going on, we are all exposed to endocrine disrupting chemicals every single day. We're exposed to lead, we're exposed to mercury, we're exposed to bromine, chlorine, and fluoride, the other toxic halogens.
And this is so critical.
Iodine.
People need to listen very, very carefully because back in college, I was down at Barton Springs and there was some Olympic swimmer folks that were retired down there swimming. And I remember they had jugs of water and it was yelling. I said, what is it? They said, it's iodine. This is the secret. So and then I remember some hippies drinking iodine when I was a kid. So this has been known for a while.
In 1961, the Royal Society of Medicine came out with a published study that said free iodine in the stomach was one of the most effective things in the world at killing off bacteria and microorganisms and even viruses. That scared the pharmaceutical companies. Ever since then, we've had a major campaign to take iodine out of everything.
A war on iodine.
A war on iodine, and we've had an accumulation of the halogens that are toxic to the body. We've had massive amounts of fluoride put in the environment, chlorine and bromine. Bromine is in everything. If you get a Mountain Dew or any type of soft drinks, most likely it has bromine. Most people don't know that Mountain Dew actually has brominated vegetable oil in it to use as an emulsifier. And most people don't know that iodine is used and required by every single cell in the body. Now, there was a study that came out also, Alex, which is pretty shocking, but it's great news for us. A dose of 20,000 micrograms per day created urinary excretion levels of mercury, lead, fluoride, bromine, chlorine, and other toxins. What does that mean? If you've been in this field as long as I have, like 20-something years, you know it's very hard to detoxify and to get those things out of the body. Iodine is one of those miracle substances that not only helps you detoxify the hardest things to eliminate, they measured it in the urine of people when they put them on high levels of iodine. But think about what's going on right now in America and around the world. What does an iodine deficiency do? Well, it causes you to gain weight. Think of all the thyroid problems that we're having and we're seeing right now around the world. Hypothyroidism.
If you don't have iodine, it will use the bad halogens, bromine, chloride, fluoride. And again, this is so critical. They know this. The government put it, starting in the 20s, in the salt, a crappy form, because goiter was so problem, lower IQs. IQs went up 15 points according to the U.S. government. Birth defects went way down. China has added it as well. But what's crazy is, explain this to people, because I want to sell them X2 and why it's the best. And when you look at it, it is true iodine. When they tested it, they said it's just pure iodine. Well, everybody else are these other types that aren't as absorbable. Why is it different? You don't want to go to the store and get iodine and drink it. It can make you sick. How is it different with the X2 from the deep earth crystals? How is it pure so the body can absorb it? Because, as you said, it's this expectorant in the body. You don't just die without it, so they're lowering the level all the time. Everything, what they say is allowable or what you supposedly want, your RDA. I mean, this is so massive. Just iodine alone is just as critical as vitamin C.
I would say it's even more critical because you look at all of the glandular tissue in the body, the reproductive tissue, the ovaries, the breast tissue in women, the prostate gland.
Fertility is king.
Fertility, but all your glands are what really, your pituitary gland, which gets calcified with fluoride, the parathyroid, the pancreas, the GI tract, actually. The whole GI tract is a gland that needs iodine because the GI tract produces serotonin and all these things. Iodine is the miracle substance that pretty much everybody needs, and they claim that 70 to 80% of the world's population is deficient in iodine. But what they're testing is, do you have enough, barely a tiny amount of iodine in your body? And what prevents you from getting a goiter is 150 micrograms a day, which is the RDA. Is that the safe level? That's barely anything right there. So when you look at all of the tissue in the body and all of the things that iodine deficiency affects, it's always been one of my favorite substances. And the difference between, like what you're talking about, Alex, is people going to the drugstore and seeing the povidone or the iodine in there. That is iodine, which has been bonded to something. It's been processed. It's not healthy. As a matter of fact, iodine coming out of the ground in the mineral form is toxic. So what we have to do is we have to take, first of all, and process that into a very, very, very fine 99.999% iodine crystal form, which, by the way, is illegal. So we have to go through the DEA certification on that because iodine in that form is used to make methamphetamine. But we take that and we wrap that around this process that we developed. It took us a long time to develop. I1. It's called nascent iodine, and we wrap the glycerin molecule around that so it's easily absorbable.
And the studies are saying fine that then it absorbs better into the blood, into the body. All I know is I started taking it like 5 years ago when you were just developing it. And I mean, already was exercising really hard and not losing weight. It made me lose like an extra 30 pounds. I know still have a little bit of weight. I'm a husky guy, but I was at 280 and I went down to the lowest about 230. Haven't worked out as much, back to about 240. But when I religiously take the iodine, you name it, my kids don't get sick when I give it to them as much. They're more healthy. People say, why are your kids so radiant? Why are they so healthy? Because they have to have it, especially in development, especially as you said, girls, for all the different parts of their body. It's insane. And look how much worse the thyroid problems are for women. And then you have the studies about thyroid issues with women if you don't have enough iodine being even worse. So listen, this is a total win-win, win-win-win, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I feel very good saying, hey, here's a problem. The media goes, look, Jones comes in and tells you have iodine deficiency, and then he sells you this iodine. That's exactly what I'm saying, is that you have to have this to live. This is the best source that anybody's ever come up with from our research. It funds the InfoWar, and it goes great together with the highest quality vitamin B12 out there. How do we know? BuzzFeed tested our vitamin B12, said it's pure vitamin B12 of two different types, methylcobalamin and acetylcobalamin. Adenosylcobalamin. They both go together. And then they said, but this is the best in the country from our studies. And it was Dr. Group's that we private label. And at that time, I was selling it even less than yours. So it just showed what idiots they were. They said, ours is the best. Okay, they said, because they showed what I was private labeling and said it was the best. They just don't get it. And they said all the stuff they tested was California standards. And I said, well, when they don't succeed first, try again as the Democrat maxim. So we have specials running that funds this operation. I didn't even plug last hour. I'm so busy focused on fighting the globalists. When I do plug, you need to go check it out because we sell you products that are awesome, that are amazing, that are incredible. We have the InfoWars Life Core Combo Pack. Even though both these are close to selling out, we're getting more in the next month. So they're both 40% off together. Secret 12 with Survival Shield X2. If you haven't gotten the iodine, it's incredible. If you haven't tried Secret 12 for natural, healthy energy and everything else it does, together 40% off. InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. By the way, no reviews yet. That's a new combo, but show folks the reviews for Survival
And let me just say, with all the nuclear facilities that have been leaking recently in the last 10 or 15 years and leaking that iodine-131, it's been well documented, especially in Europe and all over the world. Iodine, you need to have it in your medicine cabinet. You got to have the
good iodine all the time in there
that is what protects you from the radiation of iodine.
Everything I promote, I personally use and I believe in. And when you look at how they bombard us with the 6 or 7 bad halogens that our body will use if it doesn't have iodine, and you look at how they keep lowering the RDA and just the devastation, the sickness, the weakness, the infertility, the polyps in the ovaries, just the issues with women, the breast cancer, and you've got all the studies, all the documents. Absolutely, we sell the very best iodine from our research, and absolutely it helps fund warning more people about all of this. If you don't want to get our really high-quality stuff, go out, check it out, find out the right sea salts, some of the right other salts that do have the elemental iodine in there. The problem is it binds up to things. It's very, iodine's purple-blue, folks. It's not red. And in groups, iodine turns blue. The stuff at the store turns red. Okay, and again, that's because the stuff he gets to show pure, he has a special lab that the DEA has a license for. It's inside a vault, because this stuff, you put it on the ground, it eats through it like alien blood, blue smoke like I Dream of Jeannie comes up. I mean, it's true. I mean, we have video we probably show people we used to have in there of the X2, and you told me, you said you're going to detox about 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to feel really crappy for a couple of days, and you're probably going to have a bunch of stuff come out of your skin and all this other stuff. Man, I broke out about 3 weeks into it, had oil coming out on my scalp, has some really bizarre bowel movements. I mean, I'll just be honest with you. And then it was like, when you're carrying your kid on your shoulder up a big hill, when you get to take them off, you feel like you're flying. All of a sudden, it was like, boom, started losing weight, all this energy, I guess because the iodine was sucking garbage out. Tell folks more about it.
Well, that just goes to show you that the iodine is going to, everybody's different. So depending on who you are and what kind of problems you have, if you look at all the health supplements on InfoWarsLife.com and you read the reviews, you'll find the most broad spectrum reviews on the Survival Shield X2 because it works on so many different things. Talking about pregnant women being deficient, the National Institute of Health just came out with an article the other day saying iodine deficiency may reduce pregnancy chances. So now all the things that we've been saying for the last 10 years are actually coming out in the mainstream as far as pregnancy, mental retardation. They knew that pregnant women need twice as much iodine than non-pregnant women, so they should be supplementing iodine for pregnant women. They are tracing back autism, mental retardation, mental problems, nervous system problems, heart problems, glandular problems with iodine deficiency. And you're only going to see more and more and more of these things come out in the future. That's why it's my #1 product that I take, and the #1 product I think pretty much everybody out there should take. I touched on it a little bit earlier with what's going on with Fukushima, with all of the nuclear reactors breaking down. That has been an area that you can type in and you can do some research on that's not being talked about in the mainstream media. But there are literally clouds of radioactive iodine-131 over different parts of Russia. They're handing out potassium iodine pills in Belgium.
My wife couldn't get pregnant. We wanted a baby until I just said, she's like, look, I'm healthy. I eat seafood. I don't need this. And I said, listen, start taking it. 2 months later, pregnant. And we tried for like a year. I mean, it was a boom. I mean, it's incredible when people are deficient. It's just it's the things it does.
So, and one thing that's really popular with the iodine is how it brings back your memory and your focus. Because as you're in your,
it gets me high. I'm like, why do I? This is better than a cup of coffee. I'm like, why do I? A lot of days I forget to take it. And you can't take too much. You need to talk to your physician, right? Because the dose we have on there is a decent dose, but you might want to try a little bit lower at first.
Yeah, you want it because of the detoxification. I mean, you're going to be pulling out chemicals and possibly heavy metals and other things like that.
So what's it do? Bind to it? Because it was like...
Well, the first thing it does,
because I hadn't had oil and stuff since I was like a teenager, and it was like coming out everywhere.
So all those toxins, especially the other toxic halides, the fluoride, bromine, and chlorine, those all get sucked in because the body can't tell the difference between those and iodine. So those get sucked into your glandular tissue. So when you start taking iodine, then the iodine starts going into those tissues.
So this is almost like STP fuel cleaner. You put the old carburetor.
It's actually the good one. Let's say you're putting toxic fuel cleaner in there for years and years and breaking everything down and altering the body's biochemistry. Now you're putting the clean. It's like dirty water versus clean water.
All right, we'll be back. This is so key. Stay with us.
The New World Order, put simply, a conglomerate of multinational financial interests and its subsequent intelligentsia bent on undermining the self-determination of sovereign nations by any means necessary. Now, the steady rise of populism has the globalists crying from the rooftops. Former Senator and U.S. Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel was recently quoted by the Lincoln Journal-Star saying, "A new world order is being built and shaped right now. And the last time that happened, America led."
We've done the hard work of freedom. And tonight, we lead the world in facing down a threat to decency and humanity. What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind: peace and security, freedom, and the rule of law. Such is a world worthy of our struggle and worthy of our children's future.
Hagel claims the Trump administration's withdrawal from the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade agreement did significant damage to long-term U.S. power and influence in Asia, while damaging the interests of U.S. farmers and ranchers. The reality is, had the United States signed on to the TPP would have obliterated sovereignty in favor of multinational corporate looting and ushered in a technocratic nightmare. Meanwhile, George Soros grapples with defeat after dropping $18 billion on his Open Society foundations to undermine Western civilization. Soros, complaining to the Financial Times, said, "It's deja vu all over again with one big change. The dominant ideology in the world now is nationalism. It's the EU that's the institution that's on the verge of a breakdown." As German Chancellor Angela Merkel's future looks bleak, French President Macron is being lauded as the Hegelian hero of EU history by the EU Observer. Yet Macron's approval continues to stagnate behind policies such as pushing carbon taxes at the borders. And the PSYOP intensifies from the globalist mouthpiece of the Council of Foreign Relations, signaling the coming wave of hypocrisy to once again attempt to sway the masses. Clifford Cunningham writes, a summary of the report released by Freedom House, a supposedly nonpartisan think tank, has placed blame for the global assault on democracy on President Trump's attacks on the press and brash foreign policy as America's democratic standards, quote, erode at an accelerating pace, end quote. On January 24th, President Trump's populism will face the New World Order at Ground Zero in Davos, Switzerland at the World Economic Forum, revealing a parade of elitists drowning under a tsunami of populism, with tentacles that own the media, reach into the deep state, and continue to dump billions into a money pit of treason. John Bound reporting for Infowars.com.
For humanity to stand up in the info war and say, I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this, but you want to fight, you better believe you got one.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back live. We got a real treat for you here. The Health Ranger, one of the biggest health sites out there on the web, prolific filmmaker, author, you name it, ride the shotgun. He hadn't been here in a couple of years because he quit doing a lot of media interviews. He said, Alex, I'm setting up my research farm. I'm setting up one of the biggest research labs with all the top certifications. In fact, I was reading, for private labs, you've got more certifications than almost anybody else. The type of testing you can do, you're now doing it for a lot of big companies and things. We're really, really excited. And you can also then double-check the tests that these law firms and groups do out in California and keep getting these positive tests, even when other third-party labs aren't getting that. Very interesting. So we're going to talk about that some. But I just wanted to welcome you back here now that you got your lab up and going and tested over several years, naturalnews.com. And, of course, Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, is the editor of naturalnews.com, well-known writer of topics of natural health nutrition, reversing serious disease with the use of plant-based medicines, and he's here with us. But I want to just show everybody something first, because I thought about this last week when I called and asked you guys to come in. I said, you ready to come back in? You're like, yeah. What Dr. Group's talking about, what you've been talking about, when I get up here and I plug something, it's because I deeply believe in it. And we've been trying for years, going back 5 years ago, to come out with an iodine that was palatable and not toxic like they put out in the stores. But since we've been promoting true nascent atomic iodine, suddenly you see it everywhere. It's being added to supplements, but it's not really the high-quality iodine, which again, I want competitors. I just want you to know, we've been trailblazing with Dr. Group and others to where now, you know, you didn't used to go to the store and see colloidal silver. You didn't used to go to the store and see iodine. It's there because the listeners and others have taken action and people have discovered it, but we're not the ones that discovered it. This is National Institutes of Health. Now, you type in iodine deficiency women, pregnancy, losing their babies, and let's do a wide shot real quick so we can see our guest. Thanks. And They don't tell you this. It's all government stuff and BS up top, but then all the government's real info is buried by Google now. Iodine deficiency may reduce pregnancy chances, NIH study suggests. Fallout from nuclear button tweak jumps the sales of radiation drug when it isn't even the right kind. On and on and on. So this is right here that birth defects, low IQs, not being able to get pregnant, iodine, just one area. And they will not tell. I mean, the government does the studies and admits it. Okay, fluoride brain damages you. Harvard says you take it out of the water. They won't do it. So welcome back. Wanted to just set the table with that. X2, fund the operation, fund the info. We're kind of doing a drive today to raise money for the operation. Get something you need. If you haven't taken the iodine, you're crazy. Infowarsstore.com. Thank you all for your support, but I'm ranting. You can get it at its regular price or get it 40% off when you get it with Secret 12, our high-quality methylcobalamin, vitamin B12 at Infowarsstore.com. So, Mike, I'm going to let you guys really go here coming up, or I'm going to do my old interrupt and take over, but I'm just get excited by realizing we have the answers and we don't even crow about it enough. This is how we're going to break the globalists back. So good to have you back.
It's great to be back, Alex.
You bet.
It's been a few years. I really appreciate the invite. Just to establish a little bit of background. So yeah, my lab has been running now 4 years. We're ISO accredited, which is a 2-year audit process. We're a mainstream lab. One of the science papers that I'm a co-author of was one of the top read papers last year in a journal called LCGC. It's about chromatography. We have 3 mass spec instruments. I've got 3 scientists and chemists at the lab, and we require everybody in my lab to be proficient in firearms to work there. So we are actually a pro-Second Amendment science lab, which I think we're the only one in America like that, by the way. But we do really good science. We publish papers, we publish posters, they're featured everywhere. And we can now analyze anything, almost anything, whether it's food, environmental samples, nutritional supplements. We can identify unknown molecules using mass spec instrumentation. So we can look at heavy metals, or we can look at pesticides, or we can certify products to be have a lack of pesticides. And the big news of what we're seeing now, Alex, is that you know how the mainstream media is infecting people's minds with all this hate, all this bad information. You know, the CNN, they've become journo terrorists. They're just infiltrating people's minds, you know, with false information. That would not be possible unless people were also being poisoned and kept nutritionally deficient. So what you just mentioned is right, exactly on track. It's the deficiency, it's the poisoning of the food supply, and maybe we can talk about the biosludge thing. It's the poisoning of the vaccines, which they're pushing very heavily right now because of the whole flu push, combined with the information war of the mainstream media. It's a binary weapon system, Alex. That's what's being pushed by the mainstream.
Wow, Mike Adams, again, a few years ago said, listen, I built the lab. I got to get into this full-time. I'm cutting back on interviews, but I'll be back. And bam, back. And CWClabs.com, highly respected, some of the most intensive wide-spectrum analysis out there. And we use some of the top labs in the country as well that have given us great results. And he's tested our stuff and found the same results that don't match up with the latest test out of California. What a surprise. We'll be back. Well, the Health Ranger is back, and he's on fire with Dr. Edward Group. This is a live global transmission. Gentlemen, I'm going to turn things over to you because I know with your spectrometers and analysis, you're also looking into the vaccines, which have governmental protection, which they say when you try to study them. I know they threaten to sue you, saying don't look at what's in them, but sorry, you found the mutagens. So one of the top labs in the country, got all these scientists hired working there, highly respected, 4 years, in the making, been up and running a few years. We're going to do that next segment. But right now, let's continue just into whatever you want to get into first. Your biosludge documentary, this is huge.
Well, yeah, okay, so biosludge, it's the greatest cover-up. This is the mass poisoning of our country. Now, biosludge, what is it? It's human sewage. It's the collection of all the pollutants from a city. It's all the industrial waste that gets flushed down the toilet. Everything goes into this raw sewage situation. They take that raw sewage. Every city does this, including Austin, where we are. And they dump it in the countryside. This is cities polluting the countryside with toxins that are outrageous. And
so the cities are literally crapping on the country, folks.
Absolutely, literally doing that. And I've completed all the primary photography and interviews with all the experts, former EPA scientists who blew the whistle and who were fired. We've got a film coming out. There's no revenue in it. It's at biosludged.com. It's going to be released for free. We've got all the scientists blowing the whistle on this.
You know what's crazy, though? People put stuff out for free, and we do it too, and then they don't appreciate it. Maybe you say you're putting it out free for a week or something, or because, you know, this needs to be celebrated when we need funding, you know?
Yeah, well, you know, we've got funding sources like you do, product lines and so on, but this is something that we feel this is urgent for America.
No, I totally agree. I mean, you should put it out for free. It just, sometimes though it doesn't, like, it doesn't have the same pizzazz if it's free. I don't understand it.
No, I know, but look, there's a bioterrorism aspect to this too. It's not just the chemicals. It's not just the heavy metals.
The runoff, the stuff that's turning the frogs.
You combine all of the feces and all the viral strains and all the bacteria of an entire city. You put it into a pile, and you dump it out in the countryside. The birds get into it, and they spread the viruses. You know why we're having so many weird diseases? You got eye bleeding disease now happening, spreading. It's an epidemic across America. It's because there is this mass poisoning. It was approved by the Clinton administration EPA back in the 1990s.
I remember, and they were like, Hawaii, biosludge, when I first heard about it. They make it in Hawaii. It's sewage. Right. Putting the sewage next to Hawaii, all the chemicals, all the toxins, all the stuff you dump down the drain, all the gasoline, all the runoff, all of the particulate. And then, as you said, they admit over 100 million people got SV40 and ended up dying from that cancer virus. They admit they're not even cooking this sludge, these viruses and things that stay in suspended animation, and they say that they estimate hundreds of millions of Indians in India have died from it, and almost the entire population is infected with one cancer virus alone, SV.
The environmental movement is a political joke because they talk about global warming and climate change, things that are a scientific hoax. They won't talk about the actual environmental crime, the greatest environmental crime of our time, which is biosludge being spread on our countryside, on our farms. It's being used in areas where we grow corn, we grow fruits, in Washington State, in Oregon.
And their argument is, to be clear, you're the expert, the argument is, and group jump in any time here, this is important, they go, hey, everybody's always used dung, but that's from cows that ate the grass that's natural. You don't take everything out of a city and then go spray it on people's crops. It's the bioaccumulation mutating the fish.
Well, they're actually selling it back to you too, right? I mean, yes. We're making the soil out of it.
It's called recycling, but what you're doing is you're concentrating toxins back into the food supply. And we talked about the multiple vectors.
Ooh, so just like whales, it bioaccumulates from the krill up to the larger fish, and then it bioaccumulates in the whales. Oh my gosh, they're over and over again putting the toxins on the food, feeding it again to super bioaccumulate.
There's even more, Alex. One of the main chemicals that's used in agriculture today is called atrazine. It is called, in the scientific literature, a chemical castrator. This is the gender bender. You've talked about it, and you were attacked, I believe, for talking about atrazine, but you were right on. Atrazine and these other chemicals, they go back into the food supply, back into the water supply, and they feminize men across America. This is a scientific fact. It's not debatable by anyone who is actually informed about science.
Oh, even PBS did a study and said the gay frogs are real. Why does it makes a lot of them hermaphrodites, others deformed, but generally it makes them act female, and then the males try to have sex with each other and then leave the females alone. So why does it particularly do that?
Well, there's the hormone sensitivity it kicks in at parts per trillion concentrations of a contaminant. So where a lot of health effects require maybe much higher concentrations of exposure, such as heavy metals at parts per million, which is 1,000,000 times higher than parts per trillion, by the way. But hormone systems are sensitive at parts per trillion. So it takes a very tiny amount, Alex, of atrazine or glyphosate or another chemical, right, Ed?
Yeah, endocrine disrupting chemicals.
It disrupts. You know why you guys are so important on this? Trailblaze talking about this for decades and helped me understand it. And that is when you look at Colbert or the other shows or mainstream news that attacks me, every attack is about, oh, he claims they're putting stuff in the food and water to make you feminine. And then you read their own documents. The White House science czar under Obama, they admitted the plan when he wrote the book in the 70s, Eco-Science. So we're attacking their main plan.
It's all in the scientific literature. Alex, we are now publishing science.news, by the way, which is just all the scientific literature that supports exactly what we're talking about. They try to say that this is not science. It's all over the literature. We have a whole team that harvests 20 science stories a day. And we cover this. The gender bender chemicals are real. The mass feminization across America is real. You know, this is happening right now, and it's irrefutable. I run a mass spec lab. We are experts in pesticide analysis and detection. We had a major global food company come to us and want us to validate a new food contamination method development. We are well known now in the food contamination industry. I wrote that book, Food Forensics, you know. It was a #1 bestseller on Amazon. We are experts in food contamination. I can tell you that what you said is true. The food is a vector, a weapon that's being used against masculinity, against fertility. You mentioned that in the last segment. The infertility, the depopulation.
Then what's the headline for this to get to people? Like emergency warning, scientific journals confirm plan to sterilize you. I mean, how do you get through to people? This is happening.
The problem is that so much of the population has been chemically softened up. Their brains have been carpet bombed by things that we're talking about.
Even if you don't want to take Prozac and Ritalin and the thousands of drugs, it all goes into the sludge, is put on the crops.
Yes.
You eat it again.
Yes.
The heavy metals. Good God.
The water treatment centers in the cities don't remove these chemicals.
And notice under California regulations, they get waivers on everything.
Of course. Of course. And this biosludge is dumped in forests where it runs off into the rivers, which is used in the water supply for the city downstream.
And then they wonder why, just in the last decade, I guess it's the sludge since the Clintons, they say, we don't know. We've made industry a lot cleaner in the big factories, but suddenly the contamination in the fish and frogs and stuff's worse than ever.
Yeah. Yep. And there are thousands of contaminants, and the EPA only requires testing for 4 possible contaminants. I think only 2 viral strains. There are thousands of viral strains.
Well, wait a second. Isn't the EPA supposed to protect us?
The Environmental Pollution Agency?
Well, let's explain. They've proven, just search engine in major studies, SV40 is in every major sewage system of the world. It's one virus, guaranteed, that's killed hundreds of millions of people globally. And then no one even knows that most cancer is viral.
The biosludge industry is doing to America what a bioterrorist could never hope to accomplish.
They're doing what Hitler could never have dreamed of by stealth. We'll be back with this critical information. Please spread the word now. All right, Alex Jones here with the Health Ranger, Mike Adams, and, of course, Dr. Grib. And you're saying such bombshell stuff, and I'm jumping in and interrupting, which is okay. But I'm going to actually put the camera on you guys for this segment and let you guys host and just get more into this, more into what you discovered in the vaccines. Again, how they give it protection. They allow them to put whatever they want into it. What with your big lab, CWClabs.com, you've discovered. And then also a plug for iodine. We have Great X2. It's the missing link. We believe it's the best iodine out there. And it's very absorbable and has done amazing things. It's just one of the missing links. And we've got footage here, again, at one of your labs when we just put it into a peaker dish, heat it up to 100 degrees, and it turns into a purple gas. It's amazing. And that's what's in the X2. 40% off at InfoWarsLife.com when you get it with Secret 12. That's the new special. And listen, we sold out of a lot of our products, and now it could be weeks or months till they all come back in. It's going to be months till they all come back in. But even though X2 and Secret 12 are very close to selling out, we're doing 40% until it sells out, because I want to incentivize you to try X2 and to try Secret 12 and to see what pure good things from Mother Nature can do for you. They're 40% off together as a combo. InfoWarsLife.com, and you're funding an operation that's having great effects and is under attack. You know if an organization's good by their deeds and their track record, and if they're under attack by the bad guys. And we are under unbelievable assault. We're not whining. We thank you for your hopes, your prayers, spreading the links, the articles.
And if I could say, Alex, this nutrition is not just about protecting your body or your reproductive organs in the case of iodine. It's about protecting your mind. Literally.
Which is the gateway to the spirit.
You know, they have people intoxicated in the classic definition. The status quo, the poisoning of the food supply, the poisoning through vaccines, they have people intoxicated. You need to be detoxicated, in essence, if I can twist those words like that. What it means is you have to have nutrition that occupies all the receptor sites in your endocrine system, in your neurology, so that these toxins don't have as much opportunity to interact with your brain cells and your immune system cells and your gut cells and so on, right, Ed?
Yeah. And I wanted to bring up another thing, Mike, and I know you've been studying this very closely, but if you look at the news, it's not being widespread reported, but we have a massive flu epidemic going on right now in the United States. Hospitals are becoming packed full, and it just
everybody in the office that took it got it.
It just so happens that if you look at the swine flu, you always have to ask yourself, well, why all of a sudden is this year this big, huge epidemic with the flu? Not only are they doing hexavalent flu vaccines where they're putting 6 who knows what viruses in there, and if anyone goes online, they'll realize real fast that it's impossible to do an influenza vaccine because it replicates differently every time. But
let's say your body was 6 different ones at once.
Yeah,
that's the equivalent of 6 vaccines.
Right. But it just so happens we have billions of boxes of Tamiflu stored from the swine flu that they have to get rid of, that they've paid for. So what's your take on all this stuff that's happening?
Tell folks what you found with the vaccines.
The vaccine narrative that's pushed out there is quack pseudoscience. They know that their viral strains are wrong. They're not hitting the target. They say then that even if it's the wrong strain, it will help reduce the severity of your flu symptoms. Total nonsense, no scientific citations whatsoever. The CDC fabricates its flu deaths, by the way, to promote vaccines. It's all nonsense. The truth is that you could take some simple nutrients, vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, that boost your immune system.
By the way, I don't want to knock on wood, but since I've been taking X2 and the other products from InfoWarsLife.com, literally, I can't remember the last time I've had a fever in like 4 or 5, 6 years. This is insane.
Yeah, it just so happens that all the doctors are prescribing Tamiflu.
Yeah, look, I haven't had the flu in 15, 20 years. Never get a vaccine shot. Never get the flu. You're probably in the same boat, right?
Same.
How do we do that? Well, you activate your body's natural immune response.
But the Canadian study admitted it. You take the flu shot, it doubles your chances of getting the flu next season because it lowers immunity.
Yes, even worse than that, a CDC-funded study recently admitted that flu shots cause spontaneous abortions in women. And now, what are they pushing flu shots onto? Pregnant women. 20 years ago in medical school, they said never give flu shots to pregnant women. Now it's part of the narrative. Alex, is part of the infertility push. It's the depopulation push. Think about it. They can inject you with toxic mercury and abort your baby at the same time, and you don't even need a trip down to Planned Parenthood.
And here's the thing. We're not just saying this.
It's true.
We're not just saying it. Until 7 years ago, it was on the insert. Don't give a pregnant woman the shot. They removed it off the insert. It skyrockets the amount of miscarriages. They admit it.
It's admitted. It was a CDC-funded study.
And they're killing the babies in front of you.
They are.
They are murdering your baby. Forced abortion, just like China, but here they do it by stealth. In fact, here's the headline. Hospitals caught carrying out stealth abortion of women, or medical clinics caught carrying out stealth abortions using flu vaccines, CDC study.
And, the vaccine industry laments the fact that they cannot get African Americans to take more vaccines. This is a big obstacle to them. They want more black folks taking vaccines. They love it. The black folks remember Tuskegee. They remember the NIH-funded medical experiments on black folks. They remember what happens if you trust the government to inject your body with something that's a mystery cocktail.
Everybody knows you get sick when you take them.
That's already been, our own military has been used as test subjects for years and years.
You were in the military.
Absolutely.
Everyone I know that was in the military said, we remember when people died in the unit taking it. We remember when people's kids in the unit died, at the government nurseries taking it. People in this building have lost children. I mean, this is incredible.
So we now have, this is bombshell stuff, Alex. We've got a mass spec instrument called the time of flight mass spec instrument. We are accredited in our laboratory. We are now running vaccines, and we can determine the molecular formulas of all unknown molecules in those vaccines using state-of-the-art mainstream science. That instrument alone is like $400,000 just for that instrument. We are going to open source publish the molecular formulas of everything that we find in common vaccines, and it is going to break the wall of pseudoscience of the vaccine industry. That's coming out soon.
So is this basically a real-time laser scan of molecular structures, a revolution in being able to identify things quicker, similar to the CRISP system in gene sequencing?
No, this is not a laser-based system. This is a liquid chromatography mass spec time-of-flight system. So it uses liquid first, and then it uses an actual vacuum flight tube to boost molecules through a flight path, and the timing of how long it takes for them to go through that flight path determines the accurate mass of the molecule.
Oh, that gives you the reading on it.
Then we know
there's no lasers involved.
There's no lasers in this case. There are other laser instruments, but ours is a mass spec time of flight instrument. The bottom line is we can reverse engineer for the first time. We're the only lab in America willing to do this because other labs are government funded.
So you're going to go in and find out what they're really creating and what's in there.
Absolutely. That's why we're armed.
I'm going to let you guys host the next segment. I'm going to leave. Hold on, I'm going to leave the room next segment because I won't be able to shut up. I want you to really take the floor and get into this in depth, start over, go through it all. But here's the bottom line. They've admitted with the H1N1, what was it, 6-7 years ago, the next year they said, oh, we put a simulant in vaccines that was basically that, a simulant to track viruses. So they admit they're experimenting, and I know they've threatened you and others saying, don't go in, that's our trademark or that's our patent. Don't look at what we're putting in there, and we've got government protection saying we can hurt you. That's crazy. They're saying, don't look at what's in this.
Yeah, and they don't tell you the real ingredients that are in there. But what they admit to, as you know, Ed, they admit there's MSG in vaccines, there's squalene, which is an inflammation-causing substance. There's mercury, there's aluminum. We know these. And there's also aborted human fetal tissue, by the way. It's listed by the CDC in their vaccine information. Aborted human fetal tissue.
Well, you know what? It's critical because they need that from what I've read. That's what they use as a viral carrier with these different classes of viruses that we know are hormone-related, where they embed in your tissues and then don't bloom until you hit 50 or 60 years old when they want to get rid of you. Then the viral cancer activates.
You know the baby body parts scandal of Planned Parenthood. They take the baby body parts. This is real. This is sick, but it's real. They grow the baby body part tissue in vats to create human tissue. They use baby parts because they grow more quickly. They infect them and let them fester with toxic diseases, very dangerous diseases like smallpox and others. And then they take that and they grind it up, they filter it out, they put it in a bottle, and they inject it into you.
That is so satanic.
That's exactly what they do, and this is the vaccine industry. It is recycling human babies, and mostly black babies, which no wonder the black community doesn't want to be injected with this stuff. They don't want their own babies ground up.
That goes into black people.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, though,
Planned Parenthood,
all the black leaders are like Maxine Waters. Oh, you're the white guy next to you. He's the devil. Meanwhile, the true Satanism is taking place. You're coming back. Mike Adams is hosting next segment. I'm going to go watch in the control room because this is important. Man, I got to say, the return of the Health Ranger is amazing. And he's show on target. Mike Adams, naturalnews.com, CWClabs.com, and so much more. And you know, he's been attacked with whisper campaigns and disinformation and ops and things we've learned about now from the major intel I've gotten from the Trump administration, you name it, because we're really trying to restore the republic here, and we're rolling up the Clintons' network and their people, and it's really, really bad. But anyways, you guys have the floor of this segment and the next. Go ahead and host. Take over.
Speaking about the Trump administration, just real quick before we get into this, Ed, I offered to take over the EPA's nationwide testing of the entire U.S. water supply for heavy metals, to do it for $1 a year so that Scott Pruitt could fire half the EPA, who are quack science traitors to America. No wonder so many of them finally quit. But the EPA is a junk science organization. We can do the testing for all the water samples nationwide here in Texas, and I'll do it for $1. $1, Alex. All they got to do is get us the samples. We'll do the testing.
That's really where government needs to go. I mean, look at Trump giving his money back. I mean, you have so many people that would just volunteer that actually care about the United States and care about the world and care about the environment. I mean, you could literally gut the government. I would volunteer my own time. I mean, we're working our butts off for years and years and years trying to get this information out there and trying to create change because that's our passion. That's what we want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need to pay people in the government a lot of times. You can just have people that really care about taking care of these things and cleaning up the world and cleaning up the environment.
Everything where the government spends money on science, they cover it up. They get results and they hide them. Why isn't the FDA releasing results about contaminated foods that they find? Because they spot check everybody. You know, you've been tested. My operation has been tested, all clean, but they find stuff that's dirty. Why don't they tell the public about it? Why doesn't the EPA tell the truth about the radiation in the water supply or the chemicals in the water supply?
By the way, tell them how much that's gone up on average.
Well, I don't have the latest numbers, but
they even have like CBS News locally test the water, and they go, it's huge. 300 times this and 200 that. I mean, it's
there was a report about a year ago that came out in you probably know about this, Mike, in somewhere in Europe. They said a gallon of water contained the equivalent of 1 Prozac. And that's another thing right now. You know, I'll talk about all this mental disorders, and they're doing mandatory mental screening on children. They're diagnosing 2-year-olds with bipolar disorder. Most of the antidepressants and the anti-anxieties and all these antisocial, anti-mental medications are based in fluoride, and that goes back to biosludge. When you look at the amount of stuff that's flushed down a toilet. I mean, how toxic is people's poo these days?
Yeah. Well, see, this is the whole.
Look at that headline. The government allows 250 chest x-rays a year to be in your water. Unreal. That equivalent. But you remember, I want you to get into the vaccines, too, what you're finding in them.
Yeah.
Well, the big news on vaccines is that we're reverse engineering them. We'll have results, you know, in a few weeks or a few months, depending on how many vaccines we test.
You're telling me off air you're finding insane stuff.
Yeah, I'm not ready to go public with everything that we're finding yet, but we have the technology. We are an independent science laboratory. We are accredited. We have our own funding. We don't get any money, not a dime from government, no university, nothing. And we're doing great science. You know, we are a mainstream recognized laboratory at this point. We're probably one of the few independent science labs that's willing to tell the truth about this, just like independent media, right? This is independent media, willing to tell the truth where CNN is lying. Well, what about independent laboratories? That's where my focus is. You know,
I've heard rumors that they might be putting nanoparticles in vaccinations that they can use with the 5G, with the that are activated with electromagnetic frequencies. Would you be able to see or identify anything like that?
We can identify molecules between the range of 100 to 1,700 Daltons. So as long as it is a molecule made of the table of elements, we can see it. You know, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, you name it, mercury, lead, we can find it, we can reverse engineer it, and we're going to list all these results publicly and let the public crowdsource what is this stuff. Because we don't know the names of those molecules, we don't know the chemical names, we just know the chemical formulas. That's what this instrument allows us to do.
But listen to this. Okay, so all of these people that have the flu out there right now that are suffering from the flu, and that have taken the vaccines and that haven't taken the vaccines that have just caught it, they're all running to the doctor's office and flooding the hospitals, and they're getting put on Tamiflu. What is your reaction to that, or your response to that, considering the fact that USC about a few months ago came out with a study saying 3 days of water-only fasting actually regenerates the immune system and produces immune cells, which means, I mean, Mike and I have been in the natural market for years and years and years in the healthcare. I've never come across anything that you can take that within 72 hours you're going to regenerate your entire immune system and produce immune stem cells.
No, you need to actually challenge your immune system by exposing yourself to the real flu at some point, but with the nutritional support. That's how your body builds antibodies that are powerful and strong. Think about it. A vaccine is trying to get your body to make what you might call artificial antibodies, or not quite as strong antibodies, because it's a weakened viral strain, right? The virus in the vaccine is usually weakened. Sometimes it's live. That's why sometimes people get the flu from the flu shot, but usually it's weakened. They do that with ultraviolet light, by the way. It's called a denatured viral strain, or RNA fragments. Now, your body is going to have a better response to an actual infection. In fact, you will usually be asymptomatic. You won't even have symptoms of the flu. Your body builds antibodies naturally. Like if I test your blood and my blood right now, we've all got antibodies to every flu strain for the past 10 years, but we never got the flu, right?
Yeah, so what is the root cause of our bodies not being able to produce antibodies, right? The immune system is in the gut, so you have the attack on the gut, and then you have the amount of stress people are under with all the negative influence from the mainstream media. So all of these things are just suppressing the ability to produce naturally the antibodies needed. But how do you produce an antibody to a hexavalent vaccine that's injected into you?
Well, your body has to do 6 times the work, right? So I've seen doctors say they have a patient come in who's sick right now with the flu, and the doctor will say, oh, you need a flu shot right now. That is quack medicine. It takes time for your body to build antibodies. Even if you think the vaccine works, getting a vaccine while you're sick is such quackery. Those doctors should have their medical licenses stripped. They have no idea what they're talking about, even if you think the vaccine works.
Well, actually, the proper way that the body develops antibodies is not from being injected, but from breathing in.
Natural exposure.
Natural exposure through the skin, the mucous membranes, and stuff like that.
But here's the other thing. You know, as much as 25% of your DNA exists for you to fight off pathogens. You have a blueprint for survival against bacteria, fungi, as well as viral strains. But you can't activate all that DNA unless you've got the right nutrition, right? So that's where foods and superfoods and the right nutrients and extracts and everything comes into place, the right minerals. If you don't have all of that, this perfect blueprint that you have for health can't function. You can't fight off the flu if you're nutritionally suppressed. And then they add the stress of fake news, CNN, and they add the stress of all the hatred. Hatred, by the way, if you're walking around seething with hatred, you're immunosuppressed.
Absolutely.
And that's what the left is today. Where's the outbreak the worst right now? California. They're setting up tents and war zones and everything, triage in the hospitals. People are walking in sick as they've ever been. They're all stressed out and they're sick and they're malnourished. The answers are just nutrition.
We've been saying that for a long time, is just cleansing the body, and everybody has a self-healing mechanism. This is another deep, dark secret of the medical community, is that they never want you to find out that you have the power to heal yourself. They never want you to know that by cleansing the body, by cleansing the liver, by cleansing the chemicals and heavy metals out of your system, by supporting the gut and healing the gut and eating good organic live foods, that is the secret to preventing the aging process, to healing the body.
Okay,
he always has some special drink every time I see him.
Heaping tablespoon of turmeric powder, heaping tablespoon of broccoli sprouts extract, high in sulforaphane. Look up sulforaphane, look up turmeric, look up curcumin. There was a documented case, I think it was in the British Medical Journal.
Where it reverses cancer.
We reverse cancer just from curcumin and
main
turmeric.
medical journals, and they fight. And here's the deal. None of us are perfect. I was in really bad shape 5 or 6 years ago. I went a lot better. The point is, just try X2 high-quality iodine. Consult your physician if you want. Look up iodine and IQ. Look up fertility. National Institutes of Health. Iodine deficiency may reduce pregnancy chances. NIH study. They're lowering it and everything so you don't get it, while admitting, because there's some good scientists in the government, that you need it. And X2, from our research, the Dr. Group developed, is the purest, cleanest, healthiest, most absorbable type. Survival Shield X2, available at InfoWarsStore.com. 40% off when you get it with our other best-selling product, Secret 12. And then you're helping fund the entire operation as we fight the globalists. It is a total win-win. Pollen Blocks, our newest product, it's 50% off. I want you to try that as well. Super Male Vitality is also comboed with some other products for 40% off. Those are the new specials. I want to thank you all for your support. You are the folks that make it all possible. All right, the final conclusion on the other side with the return of the Health Ranger with Dr. Group. I'm Alex Jones. Hour 4, straight ahead. I like that intro. It's so intense, but we got bigger battles to fight now, but we're learning we can change things. And a lot of people are waking up, so very, very powerful. Last hour, and Mike, I'm really glad that you're saying now you're going to start doing more interviews again, and that you'll, do live in the area some of the time, so that you'll be able to pop by and be part of the whole InfoWars team as somebody contributing here. And I'm just so glad that Dr. Group got us back in touch. You got so focused for years, though, on those labs, so it's good to have you back.
We're rolling out a lab certification program for products. You know, you might be interested in that. We talk about it later, but we want to help independent media certify their products are clean as a form of self-defense. Because, you know, you've been falsely accused, Ed's been falsely accused, we've all been falsely accused. There are a lot of fraudulent labs out there that are not accredited. We can fight against them with our accreditation and our certified results. So that's a lot of my focus.
Well, that's the thing. BuzzFeed bought a bunch of our products, tested them, said they were what they were, and were clean, and they hated it. And then we have labs test all our stuff, and then, of course, they say if they leave the top open in one of the cans for 10 minutes, that then we won't pass California standards, and then, oh, you didn't pass, we're suing you, and it's a Democrat Party group. I mean,
and meanwhile, they're pushing psychiatric drugs for your 6-month-old infant. You know, they're poisoning, you know, your kids, and they're attacking nutrition. The kids need nutrition. You know, so, you know, our focus is science at this point. You know, I'm probably not going to be like a political guest for you, but a science guest. Sorry, my earpiece keeps popping out here. But, you know, science is our focus, and we are accredited, and we tell the truth.
No, and I think that's great. And I've been totally focused on the nationalism, the return of sovereignty. When I used to be maybe that 30%, and I was trying to wake folks up to other topics. I'm just trying to defend Trump because I know he's not perfect, but he's real. The globalists hate him. And now it's not like we're over the hump yet, but I now think that we can start shifting back into education, just about all the other systems.
Well, I've never seen this country with such a seething, demonic, left-wing cult is what it has become. We've seen it come out. It is insane. We're talking unhinged, deranged.
It's the cult of them running our lives.
It's unreal, man. I've never seen this. You know, I haven't been on your show for 4 years. During that time, you know, we both supported Trump for president. You know, we both tried to defend the republic this whole time. You know, we both try to get people good nutrition so that they can be awake and aware. It's not even just about, you know, being healthy. It's about awakening your consciousness so you can even take in the truth. So
if you don't have iodine or vitamin C, you will die. And they're lowering it and everything on purpose and bombing you with a bad halogen. It's
slowly,
so simple.
and then you'll be on, well, first of all, before you die, they have to put you on pharmaceuticals. And then one leads to another one, which leads to another one, which leads to another one. So it's a slow death process. They want to take as much money. They want you to die broke. They want to take all the money from you because money is power.
And those of us that aren't like that don't get the demonic force and the energy of people that are vampiric because they hate themselves so much. They want to hurt you. And you can't understand why they want to turn you against each other, why they want us like the race garbage. And they literally are demons.
The most dangerous thing now is this idea that words that they don't like are weapons against them, justifying their physical violence against, you know, conservative speakers, you know, like Milo or Ann Coulter or you or whoever. You know, they're calling for death threats against everybody they don't like because of their words. This is a very dangerous precedent. And actually, you know, I said I wasn't going to talk about politics that much, but historically, this is a run-up. This narrative is a run-up to a true, actual communist attempt. Kind of like the Cultural Revolution of
China.
This
is the exact formula of an authoritarian takeover.
It is. First, they start the narrative. They demonize people who defend the country. They demonize the family. They create infertility to get rid of those.
They tear down the old institutions?
Yes. Yes.
See, I used to even halfway
take away your guns
and blame the institutions instead of us not getting them back to the Constitution. I want to come back and do a few more minutes here and introduce Anthony Cumia on the other side, who hosts the Fourth Hour. We appreciate the great work he does at Compound Media. But I want to ask you guys one more question when we return. Everybody, this is life and death. It really is. That's why you got to spread the live links and tell folks about the local affiliates. Ladies and gentlemen, Anthony Cumia of CompoundMedia.com is going to take over right now. I wanted to get a final question into Dr. Group and, of course, the Health Ranger, Mike Adams. We know nationalism's back, populism, the family. We know we're under attack all over the world, from African countries to Latin American countries to Europe to you name it. People are understanding this global system is not free market. It's authoritarian. Soros admits today, that's up on Infowars.com, EU on the verge of breakdown because it's unelected. But we're just discovering there's a big global secret group. But what's their religion? What's their program? Well, it's eugenics. It's technocracy. It's total control of what we eat, where we sleep, what we do. And so I was asking you in closing, Mike Adams, to just recap where we are and then what the next level is and how we stop them, what they're targeting. And you said rural communities. I'm in the middle of a big city. I'm not judging you if you're... The point is they admit that. That's their plan. And the Dr. Group said Agenda 21.
Well, the biosludge issue is the mass poisoning of the countryside. It's taking all the pollution of cities, concentrating it, every heavy metal, every viral strain, every bacterial strain, and dumping it on the countryside. That's what biosludge is all about. We've got this documentary. It's coming up later this year. You can look at the preview at biosludge.com. It's going to be a free film. But this is just one vector of many. It's also the medicine vector. It's the food vector. It is also the psychic warfare, if you will, of the mainstream media. So they're attacking your mind while they're attacking your body, and they're attacking your reproductive organs. So that is really genocide, and they are, even their speech now is targeting specifically Christians, targeting specifically white people. You know, it's genocidal. We're targeting males.
It's literally beyond what the Soviets said when they were killing 20 million Christians in Ukraine and Poland and Russia. And the thing is, we're sitting here, it's all, and they're completely insane, but it's being directed by universities, by big banks. They don't like Christians, even if you're not a Christian, because they're not being controlled by them. They don't like families because they're a unit. They're not a cult. And it's insane to see this happening. Dr. Group?
No, I agree. And what's insane is when you look at in the grand scheme of things, and you look at the children and what's going on with the children, with the Common Core, with the massive amounts of vaccinations, with the mental health screenings. All of that is going on with us. But take that times 100 and look at what's happening to the children, the attack on the children right now. That is scary. And the good news is, though, parents are waking up. People are waking up. They are self-destructing. They are coming out with more fake news. The globalists are running scared right now. There's all kinds of indictments. There's whistleblowers coming out. You got QAnon out there, whoever that is, talking about stuff.
Gee, I wonder who.
Gee, I wonder who. So in all reality, you're having the message spread more and more. It's an all-on war right now.
Oh, and by the way, there are 3 new criminal investigations of the Clintons for the server, for Uranium One, and for the foundation. Almost no mainstream news coverage. It doesn't matter. Their asses are about to get indicted. This is real. They're going after him. Jeff Sessions has finally gotten a good kick in the pants. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I want you to, it's usually live, but let's go tape something for the War Room coming up with Owen, because I want you to get you guys on that show as well. I mean, the main show will be live, but maybe a 10-minute segment with you guys as well while you're here. And then let's also meet a little bit when I hand the baton over to Anthony Cumia. Normally I do eat my lunch when he's on and watch him, and I will after we're done with the meeting. But thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We'll look up in just a second. Anthony Cumia coming to us from an unknown location, my friend, of compoundmedia.com. We never get into this topic, with you, but I wanted to get your view just briefly. What do you make of just the whole medical cartel, the whole medical tyranny? There's all these other awakenings happening. And then separately, what are they going to do with the fake news awards that just happened that have just devastated them yet again? That the New York Times said Trump will never get us above 3% growth rate. That's now blown up in their face. I mean, everything they do turns to crap. So they turn the BS up to 11. That doesn't work. They turn it up to 22, then to 33. Now they're up to 10,000. It's not working. I'm just wondering where this is going next time. What's happening? Because I know you didn't used to call yourself probably a conservative. Neither did I. I'm a libertarian. Well, there's right-wingers that have got problems. But the left, as he was saying earlier, Mike Adams, is like completely psychotic now, and like a mix of Stalin meets Hitler meets PCP. How crazy will this get in your gut level assumption?
Just when you think maybe they're as crazy as they're gonna get, they just plow forward and go even more nuts. I'm relishing it. I am basking in watching them lose their minds. First of all, they've tried so hard to play Trump's game. You won't find anyone better at this than Donald Trump. And they're trying to use social media. They're trying to be funny at times. They're trying to be provocative. No one does that like Donald Trump can do it. And he is just wiping the floor with the media these days. And if he wasn't doing what he said he was going to do for this country, it would be so easy for them to turn around and go, well, your jokes and your provocative language and everything, but what are you doing for the country? And then you look around and see these unbelievable unemployment levels that haven't been seen in years, the job levels, I mean. And
record low black unemployment, record unemployment for everybody, 26,000 stock market. And here's the deal. The Democrats and the globalists are running against prosperity, running against freedom, running against everything decent, and just flipping out. I mean, who knew they were really this psychotic and this bad? But I guess globalists had to hire American haters to run the screw job. And so they really hate this country and have a hard-on for it, even though it's where their kids go to school. And so they don't know what to do. They've gone psychotic.
This is absolutely the era where the cover is ripped off of everything. And it is because of Donald Trump being elected. We've seen Hollywood self-destruct, that glittering coating of glamour on Hollywood has been torn off, and we've seen the disgusting underbelly.
That's right. Tickets down another 4%. That's over 50% the last decade. It's all exactly as America re-rises, as it all begins to come back, all the enemies, the fake NFL, Hollywood, mainstream media, they're all imploding. Why do we see that paradox taking place? Because they could go along with the big win and be smart and try to sabotage it later? No, they want to beat it all now. So right during its resurgence, they want to try to kill it in the crib, they're destroying themselves. They don't know when to quit.
They absolutely don't. And on a daily basis, we see this on a day, sometimes an hourly basis. They trip over their own feet again. They eat each other. They realize that calling people racist, sexist, homophobes, Islamophobes doesn't work anymore. So they're turning around to their own people now and
because it only works on them. Their voodoo BS only works on them. Exactly.
Yep.
So then they're self-destructing their own because they want power. They got to dominate and run somebody in the ground and bully somebody so it doesn't work on us. So they turn on themselves.
We become empowered when we get called these things, and we don't turn around and say, hey, don't say that. We start up our own networks. We go out and you
had one of the #1 shows on terrestrial. They banned it. And at times, #1 on XMs. They got jealous of you and got rid of you. We all know what really happened. And so you launch your own network. They force us to innovate with their own BS. We don't go crying. In fact, sometimes when I'm really tired, don't have energy, they try to shut me down or screw me over. Then I suddenly have this incredible energy. I'm like, whoa. So it's like the attacks are fueling us because we're not like them.
Yeah, thank God. You know, I can't imagine if you focus the energy of making signs and making vagina hats and traveling around to protest and cry. Instead, maybe build something, do something creative, something that will expose the truth. But it's a whole nother animal, and they are absolutely mentally ill.
All right, Anthony Cumia coming up. You got 20 seconds. Tell us what's coming up, my friend.
Oh, my God. We're going to talk about, of course, Hollywood, the S-hole controversy, and the medical report on Trump that just made the left and the media lose their minds.
We'll be back straight ahead in the war room after that in 40 minutes. Be part of the revolution. Please spread the links. The globalists are trying to censor us. Only you can block them. Only you can ram it up their keister.
InfoWars Life Essentials Special, Survival Shield X2, Alpha Power, Secret 12, and Super Male Vitality, all 50% off. We're on the final days of our extended sales. Make sure you don't miss out on the insanely low prices at InfoWars store before they're gone, including Survival Shield X2, Alpha Power, Secret 12, and Super Male Vitality, or the InfoWars Life Essentials Pack, all 50% off. We're also excited to announce the new T-Shirt of the Month Club. For only $19.95, you get an exclusive T-shirt from InfoWars every ding-dong month. Sign up now and get your first shirt, the best-selling Won't Tread on Me shirt in limited edition red. Help support the show and make sure you get our revolutionary products at 50% off. These sales must go at the InfoWars store before they go. But hurry! Survival Shield X2, Alpha Power, Secret 12, and Super Male Vitality are all on limited stock. Other specials include Cell Force, 50% off, The Real Red Pill, 50% off, Carnivore, and Floral Life, 33% off. Welcome, people. Welcome. Anthony Cumia in, of course, Infowars.com. A little raspy today. I think the longer you do shows at InfoWars, the more you just start sounding like Alex Jones. I don't know what it is. I'm like, I woke up this morning, I got a cold and a sore throat, and I can't speak. But I will plow through, ladies and gentlemen. I have to get into this Donald Trump physical thing. Now, we have watched presidents over the entire course of presidency. I guess the presidents have had doctors. I'm sure George Washington said, my teeth hurt. Someone said, well, yank them out and stick some wood chips in there. And, from then on, I guess the presidents have had doctors. And we've heard the news on their medical checkups. Sometimes they find a little thing. Well, the president had to have something removed. Or I remember Ronald Reagan had colon polyps or something. It's always something. They're human beings, apparently. And but the news usually handles it. It's very as a matter of fact. It's one of those things that you don't even really pay attention to, or didn't pay attention to, until, of course, everything changed again with Donald Trump. I have never, in all my years of watching the news and watching our presidents over the course of the years, seen a hysteria over a 100% good medical report on a president. Have you ever? It's insanity. So the White House doctor with a bunch of medals, I don't know what those are all about. Hey, he gave someone a colonoscopy. Give him the Gold Colon Award. There he is. Well, it looks like a nice, respectable guy. So he does the examination. on our president, Donald Trump, and finds 100% healthy. Of course, look, again, he's a human being. He could lose some weight. Who can't? He could exercise. Who shouldn't? You know, these are such basic things. Remember when Bubba Clinton was in the White House, and he would walk down to the McDonald's and eat Big Macs and stuff. It was cute and quaint then. They're like, oh, look, he's a regular guy. He's a little dumpy. He likes McDonald's. He's just Bubba, a regular guy. Well, nowadays, oh my God, that apparently is a death sentence. Again, 100% fine, mentally, physically, and mentally. He took a test for a mental acuity, and he scored 30 out of 30. I mean, I guess that's the best you could score on that test, which then leads the doctor to believe that no further mental testing is needed. But, oh my God, the media, I have never seen a group of people so angry that a president of the United States got a clean bill of health. They were hoping, and I'm not going overboard with this. They were literally hoping that something would come up that might trim down his term a few years or make it impossible for him to run for a second term if he gets through this one. They started just lambasting this doctor with the most insane questions that you never heard any other president get. I don't think we saw this type of questioning when Reagan was shot. When Ronald Reagan got shot, I don't think the media was this frothing at the mouth insane to get questions out there. But there's Donald Trump as doctor, clean bill of health. And we got questions like, and I love how this exposed, agenda-driven left-wing media operates. They want to link Donald Trump to certain key words. That's what they do. So they sit there. It's his doctor giving his assessment of Donald Trump's physical and mental health. And the people in the audience, after hearing he's fine, nothing wrong, 100%, they put out words like dementia, Alzheimer's, cholesterol, heart disease. They throw it out there just to link it. And I believe CNN, just despicable. We'll talk about how they topped some of the president's fake news awards. You can't beat this guy. And they threw out, CNN said, I think it was Sanjay Gupta, asked the doctor about Trump's heart health. Said, how's his heart? Does he have heart disease? And the doctor says, no. And they get on and start saying, Sanjay asks president about, or asks doctor about president's heart disease. He asked him if he had any heart disease. The doctor said no, aside from, his cholesterol, which he takes drugs for. I can't imagine almost half the country over the age of 45 doesn't have a cholesterol problem. And I would say 90%, I'm not even sure, I'm just guessing, but off the top of my head, I would have to assume that 90% of people that are in their 70s might have some type of artery cloggage in some way, shape, or form. Trump is 71 years old. He'll be 72 in June. This is a dynamo. To see a guy run around like he does, work the hours he works, multitask, and getting things done at his age is astounding. This is the age a mere few years ago, really, when you think about it, was you were waiting to die. This was every relative you went over to visit that was sitting on a chair in the corner that no one paid attention to, just waiting for them to die. But the media cannot take that he is of sound mind and body and it's killing them. It's killing them. We'll be back in moments. Don't go anywhere. Anthony Cumia in at Infowars.com. Welcome back. Anthony Cumia in at Infowars.com. And, man, I remember a time with the news, and especially news about the president. And again, right up until the Donald Trump presidency, and probably even the Trump candidacy, when he declared he wanted to be president, this whole thing started. But before that, remember these days, remember there would be times that would actually stretch days, sometimes even a week, where you never even heard a story about the president. He would go somewhere, be doing things. You wouldn't hear about a bill or the fact that he's vacationing. It was just one of those weeks where he was doing nothing, just nothing. And then a week would go by, and you'd turn on the news, and they'd be like, the president returned from Camp David today. And you'd be like, oh, right, that guy, the president. And that was usually how the news covered the president. When important things are going on, he was rotated quite often in the news cycle. But when nothing was really going on, the president would disappear from the news for at least a few days. And then the president was on the Hill today talking with lawmakers about, the president, that guy. Have you ever seen, I haven't, that's why I brought it up, a news cycle that is so fixated on this president that it is, I used to say daily, a daily occurrence. It is an hourly occurrence. Every hour, the story will be regurgitated, or a new story comes up, a new allegation, a new Trump said something. I have never seen, and they say that at least 93%, maybe 98%, as high as that, of the coverage is negative coverage on this president. But the sheer coverage alone is insane. The obsession that this media has with this president, and not the accomplishments. We've heard about the accomplishments of late. This president is doing an amazing job, especially here at home. America first. That's what he promised. And we're seeing an economy that is robust. Momentum is building. Again, the market tops another record, breaks 26,000 yesterday. And unemployment at record lows in some of the demographics, a low that has never been seen since they've been keeping records. African-American unemployment, which has been a problem for decades in this country, is at record lows. And they cannot comment on it. Mainstream media cannot bring themselves to comment on this. And I assure you, if this was Barack Obama, we would be having this thrown in our face every day as to how amazing this president was doing. But it's a guy they just don't like. They don't like Donald Trump. They don't like what they believe he stands for. So many ists and isms and phobes that they throw behind this president. And meanwhile, they're missing the most important things, more important than name calling or using a dirty word. Ooh, grab my pearls. Oh, the important thing, that people are going back to work, that people are making money, the tax cuts. Again, I have never seen in my life something signed and results coming out of it as quickly as I have with Trump's tax plan. We are seeing huge companies returning to the United States, repatriating money to the likes of 38, I believe it was $38 billion that Apple is bringing back to this country from foreign banks because the tax rate is lower. They can afford to bring money back. 20,000 new jobs coming back to the United States. How is this $350 billion. Apple announced repatriate 350. I said 38. What am I talking about? 350 billion in the next U.S. The economy over the next 5 years. 38 billion on taxes. Right there it was. But it's insane that this isn't the news. They jump out of their seats to ask Trump's doctor if he wears dentures or if he's got a peanut allergy. They can't get out of the seat quick enough. Excuse me, doctor. I heard him mispronounce a word. What's that all about? And we have companies all over this country giving bonuses to employees, incentives, matching programs in their 401ks, all because of the tax plan that Trump signed. And the media, where's the media? They're too busy saying that he used the S word, a crap hole, we'll say here, in Haiti and in other some countries in Africa. They're too busy saying that. Meanwhile, the hypocrisy flows out of that one because you will never see one of these people set foot in one of the countries that Donald Trump has dubbed a crap hole. Allegedly, by the way, dubbed a crap hole. But they instead of the real the real issue here, that Haiti is indeed a festering wound on the face of the earth, that maybe they should address it. No, they'd rather call out the president for giving a pretty accurate description of Haiti. And then you have the Clintons, who, with their wonderful Clinton Foundation, was supposed to contribute money and construction and help after the earthquake years ago and help rebuild Haiti. Well, that money never made it to where it was supposed to go. I don't know why that isn't under the scrutiny of the media. It is under the scrutiny of InfoWars and Compound Media and some of the other more honest outlets out there. But they won't address that. The fact that Chelsea Clinton's wedding was financed through the Clinton Foundation, their beautiful dress, I'm sure it was a lavish, very expensive wedding. You can literally take a picture of a starving, impoverished Haitian child and put it next to Chelsea Clinton in her wedding dress. And that person absolutely took the food out of that child's mouth to give her a wedding, to give her a wedding dress. Why isn't that? Why isn't that the news? I don't know. They'd rather talk about Trump's language and that he's obscene and that perhaps he enjoyed the company of women years ago. Yeah, Haiti helped pay for your wedding. She rebuked, of course. They've learned to lie. They have learned to lie at a very young age, the Clintons. And man, I can only imagine if Hillary was elected. Oh, I shudder at the thought. Imagine a reporter from a conservative news agency standing up and questioning her weight, questioning her health, asking about her sanity. They wouldn't even question it when she was falling down on the ground and had to be lifted into a van during the campaign. The media was silent, never asking her about what happened, why that happened to her, how she feels, her coughing fits. I mean, if this happened to Donald Trump, you would say he needed to be removed from office because he's not fit to serve, yet they never said a thing. Unbelievable. We'll be right back with InfoWars after this. Alexa Pure Breeze air purifiers, $50 off with free shipping for a limited time only at InfoWarsStore.com. The air in your home, filled with dust, bacteria, allergens, and viruses. But with the revolutionary air purification system, the Alexa Pure Breeze, you can remove up to 99.97% of airborne toxins and contaminants in your home. The Alexa Pure Breeze has been a game changer since it came out a couple of years ago. Comparable units cost as much as $800, but we're bringing it to you for a special $50 off with free shipping. You'll know it's working to clean your air when you see the light change. With this simple product, you can finally breathe easy in your own home without having to suffer through toxins. The Alexa Pure Breeze is a necessity for any clean home. Get yours today at InfoWarsStore.com to get it for $50 off with free shipping included for a limited time only. Welcome back, Anthony Cumia, Infowars.com. You can find me on CompoundMedia.com from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Thursday. And I thank Alex Jones for this forum. Years ago, I swear, you could find, I used to be on the Opie and Anthony show, and years ago, we would play clips of Alex, and I loved him. And I would sit there and just go, oh, my God, this guy's out of his mind. I gotta be serious. I would say this guy's out of his mind. Man, were my eyes slammed shut. As the years went by, you realize, oh, Alex Jones has had his eyes open for years. There he is. For years. And everything that's coming to fruition were things he was talking about years ago. And it's amazing. And I'm privileged to be asked to come on here every couple of weeks and do an hour on Infowars.com. Hollywood. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Hollywood. Remember when Hollywood was glamorous? Remember? I do. I'm no kid. I remember years ago. It was glitter, glamour. It was called Tinseltown. It was an amazing place. We had stars. These were celebrities, stars, movie stars that were not accessible to mere mortals like us. You didn't have access. You couldn't tell Cary Grant that his movie sucked. You couldn't do that. Hey, Cary Grant, your movie sucks. You couldn't do that. He would just all day think, everybody loves me. I'm Cary Grant, and I am amazing. You'd have to write a letter. Dear Cary Grant, your movie sucks. Get an envelope. Figure out where to even mail the damn thing to. Cary Grant, care of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. And he would never see it. Somebody would open his mail and go, oh, someone thinks Cary Grant sucks. Yeah, why would we give that? Why would you give me this letter? I don't suck. I'm amazing. But that was old school Hollywood. No accessibility. The cover was on. There was just as much debaucherous crap going on back then. Of course there was. But it was kept under wraps, I guess. We didn't have access to it. We went to movies, and it was an amazing new world. And when we saw these celebrities on talk shows, it was so special to see them in an element out of the movie, actually being themselves. Now all we see are their detached opinions on life and how we all should live it. That is Hollywood now. The cover, thank God, has been ripped off. And we have seen the disgusting, putrid underbelly of what goes on in that town, Tinseltown. We've seen so much from the sexual harassment and actual physical abuse allegations that have come out of late. And of course, again, the progressives, the liberals, the left, Democrats, celebrity, whatever you want to call it, has again kicked themselves in the ass on this one. They had some momentum going. You had Harvey Weinstein, which from the looks of it was an actual case of a man using his vast power and wielding it to get sex from women in exchange for careers. We had a few other people. What's his face there? Where is he? From yeah. Well, we've had a few people that have lost their careers because of sexual allegations. But then we have this Aziz Ansari story come out. I guess this woman, her name is Abby Neerman. Is that it? She went anonymous for a while, but screw that. She doesn't deserve to have anonymity if she's going to come out and crucify someone. I am anything but an Aziz Ansari fan. Believe me. When I had my little tiff with Jon Stewart at the Comedy Cellar, Aziz was sitting at the table, at John's table, waiting for him to come back, talk about how cool it was that he was screaming and ready to fight with me, the ist and ism and phobe that I am. Ugh. Bunch of beta men sitting in a corner. Shut up. So this Abby girl decides she's going to document a date that she had with Aziz. And it sounds like just an awkward, crappy date. That's what it sounds like. The guy was probably a little overzealous. She was giving off signals that absolutely said that she wanted to have sexual relations with this gentleman. They're nude in his apartment. She's performing certain acts on him. He's doing the same to her. And then when the whole thing ends, the next day, she starts talking about how she felt odd, didn't feel good about it. It was awkward and troubling. And she had to, and this is it, ask her friend. She had to ask her friend if she was sexually abused. I think you know. I got to be honest. I think you know. You don't have to ask your friend. From all accounts, her accounts, by the way, as put on babe.com, again, she was anonymous at the time, it sounded like two people that had an agenda. Hers to get close to Aziz, a rich and famous comic, and his, which was to have sex with a girl he met at a club. They both had things they wanted to come out of that evening. He worked on what he wanted to work on, and she, by showing up at his apartment, worked on what she wanted to work on, getting to know him. Now, he's another one of these, like I said, beta men who probably never was able to get a girl in his life until he got a lot of money and some fame. And that awkwardness and lack of what we like to call game, ladies, was glaring that evening. I hear tell he put his fingers down her throat in a move that she called the claw, and then used her saliva for things, is what I hear. Look, things happen on dates when you're being intimate, and they don't need to be splashed out into the public like this. And I believe he was dealt a disservice here by Abby Neierman and Babe.com, because this amounts to nothing but two people awkwardly pawing at each other in an apartment. And again, I believe this will be looked at as the beginning of the end for Me Too. Me Too. Which I have to give comic Owen Benjamin a credit for this one. He goes, hashtag Me Too. He goes, isn't that literally pound me too? Which is pretty damn funny. And time's up. I got my time's up button on. But again, something that may have started out as a noble cause. I don't think anybody can disagree that men wielding their power in exchange for sexual favors by women who would never consent to it, and in exchange for money, jobs, roles in Hollywood. We all know that's bad. But again, they take it to the umpteenth level of ridiculousness and allow a woman to anonymously detail a horrible date with somebody who's obviously a little sexually awkward. But that's Hollywood. Thank you, Alex Jones, for allowing me to spend some time here on Infowars.com. Again, I have Milo Yiannopoulos, Gavin McInnes, and Michael Malice on my show starting